first Heroes of New Earth ClanTour? $1,000 and 15,000 gold coins at stake. 8 teams, 5 versus 5 tournament. Best out of 3 group stages. Best out of 5 in the final. Casters BKBnchill and What You Got. This event is going down April 17th and 18th at twitch.tv/Clantons.
Welcome everyone here to the ClanTour #1 tournament. We are live here on April 17th with some Han action for you guys. I am going to be your main shoutcaster, What You Got, and I am going to be joined by a co-caster here, BKBnchill. How's it going today, BKB? We're back after a while here with again some competitive Han. Are you excited here to cast some Han?
Yeah, we're back again. It's always good to cast with you. I'm glad to be back into a new tournament. Looking forward to seeing what we have on offer. And yeah, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It's bright and early, and I'm ready to go. So let's get into it. The bands are already done. We have Big Ego Crew here on the Legion side, taking on Backdoor Protocol here for our first series. So no doubt going to be an exciting round 1 match. We have Magmus, Bubbles, and Fade banned out here from our Legion side. Monarch, Moira, and the Chipper getting banned out here from our Hellborn side. So take me through the bans there, BKB.
Yeah, so to be honest, nothing really stands out to me. I mean, you see heroes like Fade, you see Bubbles, very strong initiators from the mid lane. I haven't seen much of Fade recently, but to be honest, I haven't seen many scrims recently, so I don't know if it's been picked up in any scrims that you've casted yourself. But I think overall, you look at the Chipper, the Moira, the Monarch, Magmus, all heroes that are very, very strong in the scene at the moment. So I don't think anything particularly stands out to me. I mean, potentially Fade, as I said, but what do you think? Is Fade a hero that you've seen recently?
No, not really. Of course, I get to cast a lot of the scrims between a lot of these teams, but I can't say I remember, at least recently, any matches where one of the teams has picked up the fade. Now, with that being said, it is one of those heroes where very, very difficult to play against in the early to mid game with that reflection setting up those ganks. So I can definitely understand why the hero would get banned away. But yeah, as you pointed out, that one for me is the standout. All the others pretty straightforward in terms of meta comfort heroes that the teams like. So those look pretty solid there. We're already done with the second wave of bans here, so we got to go over the picks. We have the Engineer as the first pick coming out from Big Ego Crew, Cthulhu and Blitz response picks from Backdoor Protocol, and then Aluna and Pharaoh going to be the second and third picks from our Legion side. Then we have the second wave of bans completed: Alonia, Sir Bensington, and Bombardier, Clanks, Artillery, and Deadwood coming out from Big Ego Crew. So anything you noticed there between both the picks and the second wave of bans?
I'll go into the picks first. I think the picks are generally very standard. I mean, how many games have me and you casted where we've seen Big Eagle Crew pick up Engineer, Aluna, Pharaoh? I think those 3 heroes are definitely heroes that they love to play with and they feel very comfortable with. So it seems like their draft is looking like a very comfort draft at the moment. Backdoor Protocol, we see Blitz, Cthulhu, both heroes we see quite a lot with them because they love the tanky presence of Cthulhu. I think they always like to have a strong roamer such as Blitz in their lineup as well. So those 2 picks make sense. Rift Walker are definitely interesting. I'll be keen to see whether they do lane the Rift Walker, if they do put it as a core, maybe in the mid lane, or if they put it perhaps as a bit of a kind of harassing position for in the long lane. And then with the Ophelia as well, lots of good initiation. I like what they're doing so far. I like the fact they've got, lots of fantastic team fight potential with that. Some good stun, some good lockdown. But then, when it comes to Big Ego Crew, we've seen the right click of King Clout, which could completely counter that lineup, especially with the Ophelia and the Fear. So yeah, I'd be keen to see what comes out next. But I think both drafts are looking quite comfortable for both teams, and I'll be very keen to see how they utilize the Rift Walker, particularly on the Hellborn side.
Yeah, so we're going to see a jungling lineup here come out from Backdoor Protocol. That's also going to mean this Riftwalker will most likely be a core hero here, as they do already have the Blitz picked up. So we're going to see a core Riftwalker there, possibly in the mid lane. And from the side of Big Ego Crew, I got a chance to cast with, I believe it was Snooki earlier in the week, and we were casting a Big Ego Crew scrim, and he said, never give Pharaoh to Big Ego Crew. Vulka is just so strong on this hero, and we're going to get to see him play the Pharaoh here in game number 1, so already pretty exciting, as he's had many dominating performances in a lot of the scrims picking up that Pharaoh, so we'll see how that does end up playing out. But we have the final 2 picks now coming out from Big Ego Crew, going to be both the Hammer Storm and the Master of Arms. And I'm actually expecting this Master of Arms to be played in a core role here alongside the Hammer Storm, as Puppetsoui likes to play that one in the mid lane. At least they've been testing that one out. But we could still very well as well see the Master of Arms as a secondary support and engineer, which is also, you can't really forget some months back, Puppetsoul playing the engineer mid. I don't know if we're going to go back to those days, but that is a possibility, as well as they do have the flexibility there with their heroes. So one final pick coming up from the side of Backdoor Protocol, most likely going to be that carry option, and we're going to get to see it here in just a couple of seconds if they go for something like a hard carry or that mid game semi-core style of hero. So they go with the Jeraziah. What do you think about the final picks they're coming out, BKB, as the 2 lineups just got completed?
If I'm to give my preference, I think the Legion draft is definitely stronger because when it comes to the Jeraziah pick on Hellborn, Jeraziah is going to get kited a lot, and he's going to get kited particularly by heroes such as um, Engineer, such as
Let's
Pharaoh.
get it on.
I mean that in the sense that, perhaps if Jeraziah wants to go on the Engineer can kick himself, Pharaoh can put up the mummies, and I think Jeraziah is going to have a difficult time really getting in the faces of heroes that have that skill set. I think Legion draft has a bit of everything. You've got team fight, you've got stuns, you've got late game. You've got fantastic rune control as well with those heroes because they're so good at roaming. And I think it gives them a lot of presence from the early game and in the late game too. But then with the Hellborn draft, I think Hellborn are very, very good, and they hit their timings around mid game, so around that 20 to 30-minute period. I'm not sure what we're going to see in the Jeraziah, whether we see a Mocha Brilliance or whether we see something a bit tankier, perhaps. I mean, I haven't seen Jeraziah in Hon for God knows how long, so I don't really particularly know what the item builds are anymore. And then Zero being a core player is going to play the core Riftwalker, so I think I do like it, but I think Riftwalker, look at Riftwalker
We could have an
against...
engagement here. Hammer Storm's leading the front lines here from Big Ego Crew. There's the hammer throw coming out into the Mekx stun. 2-man trample coming out from Cthulhu Fan, but will this be enough to prevent this bloodless kill? Final auto attack comes in from Aluna there. She gets credit for that bloodless kill. Now Hammer Storm, he could end up falling here if the spells come back up. There's a Mekx stun to kind of deter the follow-up, but will they be able to save their Hammer Storm here? It almost looks like they're kind of, well, they're not going to have the spells come back up in time. So Hammerstorm will survive, and we are going to have our Bloodless kill here, BKB, before the creep spawn, as that will be onto Riftwalker. So the support Aluna possibly going to get those Marchers very early on. We'll see what he goes for, but he's got 500 gold in the bank.
Yeah, it just kind of takes me back to my point as well. When it comes to the Riftwalker, yes, it's a great hero, and I do like the hero quite a lot. But against the initiation that Legion have, she's going to have quite a difficult game. Particularly if Pharaoh can scout her ultimate out with the rocket and then cancel it, I think Riftwalker is going to be negated pretty much entirely. So yeah, a bit of a kind of risky pick there. And with her being bloodlusted because she has no escape mechanism, yeah, definitely a bit of an unfortunate start for Hellborn.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at the laning phase here as the heroes are going to their places. We have Pharaoh versus Cthulhu Fan here in the bottom lane in a 1-versus-1 matchup. In the mid lane, we have Master of Arms, as we talked about, playing that secondary core role this game, going up against the Riftwalker. We have an Ophelia jungle for the Hellborn side, and then that means we have a tri-lane in the top lane from our Legion team going up against that dual lane of Jeraziah and Blitz. So does one team have an advantage here in the early laning phase, the way the lanes have been shaped up?
Yes, I would probably give it to Legion. I think, as you say with the Pharaoh, I think Vulka's a very, very good 1v1 player, especially on that Pharaoh that he loves to play. So I'd probably give the bottom lane to him. Although when it comes to Cthulhu Fund being played by Yagha, I know that it's one of his signature heroes as well. So actually, in hindsight, it could be a bit difficult to call the bot lane. I think it could be quite even and back and forth. Mid lane, you know, Puppetsoui against Zero. I think most people would give that to Puppetsoui because he is very strong at the moment. And I think his hero just does a bit more than Riftwalker in terms of, you know, Riftwalker can't really get much damage out because he'll get, you know, return harassed, and I think he'll be boxed out the lane a little bit. When it comes to the top lane, obviously you've got the Blitz, you've got the Ophelia in the jungle, and then you've got the Jeremiah. I mean, you have to give it to the Legion tri-lane because they're so experienced with the tri-lanes and they have 3 stuns. So even though Jeremiah's got a charm protection spell, I don't think it's really going to be enough for him to farm efficiently compared to the Hostile.
Okay, so Legion possibly going to come out here with an advantage in the early laning stage. We'll see if Ophelia, as always, can make her presence felt. She is one of those very aggressive early game style of heroes. She's able to get the right creeps early on. So if we take a look at the GPM chart, we have a pretty nice plateau there from our Legion side with 4 players above 200 GPM, but very similar from our Hellborn side. And again, it is very early on here. We have Protective Charm up here in the top lane. Quicken going to be used on the Jeremiah, but there's the Hammer Throw coming out on the Blitz into the Kexlan and the turret with a Luna's Power Throw to follow as Dutch on the Hammerstorm gets credit for that kill. So they bait out the Charm and the Quicken, quickly change targets there, and they're able to get that second kill here.
Yeah, so I just want to look at Ophelia quickly. So when it comes to Ophelia, obviously we can see there's a few, there's Water Sight plays, there's Water Revelation to counter the camp that was blocked by her. She has the immediate camp. If you get a skeleton early on, do you think it's appropriate to stack that camp so early and save it for later as he does go towards the mid lane? Or do you think he would want to take it out as a single camp first?
I think it's fine for him to stack as long as he's able to get himself some of those farming creeps. Right now he currently has a Vulture Lord, or excuse me, a Vagabond leader, which he can use later to try to get his levels back. But as we can see, he's Veiled Rotting here in the mid lane, going to get the flank here on Master of Arms most likely, as here comes the grip from the Skeleton King. The Riftburn is down on Master of Arms. He does not have a way to get out of that Riftburn, and he takes some heavy pressure there, and that will be a kill there. Excellently set up there by the Ophelia from behind.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't mention earlier was obviously the Ophelia factor against the Master of Arms. Master of Arms has no escape, and Riftwalker's damage is obviously very high. So, yeah, very good rotation, good kill, and as you say, if he can pick up a farming creep, he can go and take that stack out and get some early levels, which he'll be quite keen to do, I think.
We're going to have a hasted Aluna here with those marchers picked up. She is Veiled Rotted here in the mid lane. They're looking for a counter kill. Now Ophelia is here in the tower doing some assisted damage on the Aluna. There's the Riftburn coming out. Will Riftwalker go down in response? It looks like they will not have enough damage there. So Ophelia once again being in the right place at the right time, setting up that counter gank.
Yeah, top lane.
Top lane, we have Jeremiah getting the quicken from Blitzes. He still has his inner light heal available to him. He will use it there, and he's actually doing quite well in terms of creep farm, I'd have to say, going up against that tri-lane BKB. 17 last hits. Do you feel like he should be getting this much farm here against the Legion's tri-lane?
Yeah, not particularly. I mean, we talked about the triple stun. But then, you know, Jeremiah compared to other carries, so let's say if they had a Dark Lady, for example, or if they had, like, I don't know, a Mage Bane or something like that, which would be a lot more difficult for Legion to kill, so a lot easier for Legion to kill, then I think the CS would be a lot lower. But when you have a Jeremiah, you know, he does have that safety mechanism, and he can pick up creeps here and there. But to be honest, I wouldn't worry so much about the kind of creep score itself, but more the GPM. You know, his GPM is only 250 compared to the Hammerstorm is at 370. So yeah, not a great start, but he's doing okay.
Okay, fair enough. We're gonna have an engagement here. The Riftburn is down. Riftwalker did start that off with a wormhole, and Hammerstorm is gonna go down. But here's Pharaoh now, lining up a beautiful two-man Wrath of the Pharaoh into that mummy wall, and will Blitz make the escape here? One more auto attack going to be enough there, as Engineer gets credit for that one. Pharaoh getting the first kill there onto the Riftwalker. So a 2-for-1 exchange there.
Pharaoh rotation is so strong. It's just such a fantastic ultimate like in this meta game as a whole, because teams are so aggressive in the laning phase that if you perhaps overextend for like a couple of seconds, Pharaoh TP comes in, the range on his hook is relatively decent at level 1. So as we saw, getting a couple of kills there and a very, very good turn.
Yeah, so with this rotation, this is going to leave some farm over to Cthulhuphon in the bottom lane. He's currently the top farmer here for Backdoor Protocol at 340 gold per minute. Safe to say they're going to be expecting some big things from him this game, as the rest of the team not doing as well in comparison. Specifically the Jarazaya, as we talked about, going up against that Hammerstorm who's got that priority farm up there in the top lane. So what items do you think we can expect here from Cthulhuphon? Is he going to be looking to build more tanky, or is he going to need to pick up something like an early portal queue? What do you think Cthulhuphon's going to need to do moving forward?
First of all, talking about the boots, I think he's probably going to go for Painted Greaves, because you look at Legion physical damage, you have the Master of Arms, you have the Hammer Store, you have...
Initiation top lane, we have an inner light coming out. There's a Master's Call from Master of Arms there, so that's one of the benefits of having that core Moa, as he's able to get those levels in early, and that will protect the Hammerstorm there. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, I think because of Legion's physical damage, I think Painted Greaves would be the first pick up. I think knowing Yagha Dig, sorry if I said your name incorrect, hopefully that sounds alright. But knowing Yagha, he likes to go for, I think he likes to go for Helm in the back Legion, if I'm not mistaken, so we can see Helm picked up, which I think would be fantastic, especially as I talked about the physical damage output. But I think what he needs to do is he needs to go for the quick portal key, because you look at how strong Legion's initiation
Wormhole being channeled here in the top lane. It's going to connect on the Hammerstorm. There's the stun from Aluna, but Hammer will fall there as the Blitzkrieg from Blitz does take him out there, and they will also get the second kill onto Aluna. Ophelia and Riftwalker setting that up with Veil Rots. Now Pharaoh is here with the Mummy Wall. He still has his Wrath of the Pharaoh, but he is under heavy pressure. He is most likely going to fall here. Wrath of the Pharaoh comes out, Inner Light will take him down, and now Ophelia will go down to the Mind Trap in response from Engineers. Master of Arms ports in. Here comes another Cascade event from the Riftwalker, but it looks like that will conclude the fight, as I believe that was a 3-for-1 team fight, if I'm not mistaken. So Backdoor Protocol starting that one off with a wormhole being channeled. Great team fight initiation coming out.
Yeah, good Riftwalker ulti, and then the Pharaoh, obviously, I'm not sure what he was doing. I think he was trying to be quite aggressive on the Jarazaya, looking to get a counter kill, but when Jarazaya had the charm up, you know, his Hellfire didn't do any damage and he got taken out, so slight misplay there from Pharaoh. But no, just getting back to Cthulhuphon, I think what he really needs is a fast PK, because Legion's initiation is so strong, the team fight is so good, that I think if he doesn't get the PK early on, then there could be a little bit of trouble when it comes to taking those team fights for Hellborn. Although saying that, you do have the Ophelia and the Riftwalker, so I guess he might think that the initiation with those heroes is so good that he can perhaps take it a bit later.
Here comes a hammer throw in the bot lane. Keg stunned into the turret, coming out. Now, they don't have enough damage to bring him down, so it looks like he'll be just fine there. And speaking of him, he does have 2,000 gold in the bank, so that possible early portal key could be in the works here, as you were kind of hinting at. Hammerstorm is trying to line up another hammer throw here, and there's the Ophelia's touch coming out as he does trample to safety. Will Ophelia get in range here? Another wormhole being channeled, just barely going to miss, unfortunately. Rift Burns going to be applied here as well on top of that slow. Next trample comes out from Cthulhuphon, and the overextension from Big Ego Crew is going to cost them there, as they do lose their Hammerstorm.
Yeah, pretty poor ultimate from Riftwalker. Didn't really calculate her range well enough, but fantastic micro from the Ophelia, turning the kill onto their favour. So yeah, good play from Ophelia, which I like to see. You know, a good micro player I think is always very valuable in a team, as you all know quite well. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you. So when it comes to obviously the tournaments we've classes in the past, a Barbed Armor has been such a good
Middle lane,
pickup.
hold that thought, as we have Riftwalker getting locked down here by the Wall of Mummies. Wrath of the Pharaoh starting that one off. On top of the Acid Bomb, that will take down the Riftwalker.
Yeah, so Barbed Armor has been such a common pickup that we've seen in past tournaments. Is Barbed Armor still really strong, or has it been changed and has it been put into a state where it's a little bit more balanced?
Sorry to cut you off there, BKB.
No, you're
Another initiation, as that one was started off with a Cthulhuphon portal key, which he just picked up very early on here. You're gonna get the catch there onto Master of Arms, and he does fall, but To answer your question, barbed armor, is it still meta or?
Yeah, is it still meta and is it still strong as it used to be?
It's not as strong as it used to be, but I think it definitely has its place in certain games. Now, were you kind of hinting at possibly somebody like Pharaoh or Cthulhu Font picking one of those up this game?
Yeah, I was thinking more Cthulhu Fun, particularly against the Hammerstorm. I just wanted to know whether it was still common as it used to be, but yeah, you've answered the question, so
Um,
I understand it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. Now, I don't think he'll necessarily want to go for that very early on, but maybe perhaps if he has something like the combination of the Staff of the Master with the Barbed Armor, once the mid to late game kind of roll around, if we get to that point, then I do think going up against heroes like the Hammerstorm and the Master of Arms, that would be quite good. But as far as going that as a very early game item, I don't think we will.
Denied.
Inside, and again, I think that's going to come down to whether or not Cthulhu Font value is going for that, as I think either of these two heroes could really look to invest into the Plated Greaves this game, but whether or not it will be Ophelia or Cthulhu Font, I think is still undetermined. Speaking of Ophelia, she is Veiled Rotted here in the top lane. Now this Veiled Rot was broken by the Pharaoh illusion here, so only the creep's still being veiled, as I believe she might have gotten spotted up there. Unfortunately, not going to.
Like many years ago.
Oh yeah,
Is that right?
before Ring of Sorcery or Sorcery Boots was actually a thing, and Mana Ring upgraded into them, it was very common for Ophelias to bulk up on HP and just be very tanky. It's one of those heroes where the longer you're able to survive, you're just able to do so much with your auras. So you naturally want to build very tanky to survive team fights as long as possible. But with the sorcery boots nowadays, it's hard to get back to base and break your boots and whatnot and have the gold for all of that. So a lot of the times we just keep the sorcery boots and then get that earlier astrolabe and third tier of supportive item.
About Energizer on Ophelia. Do you like it?
I do. I think it's a great tool for her kit to kind of get her creeps in range, buff them up, give them that extra attack speed to deal some damage output, as well as pushing against towers. I think it's very good. So we're gonna have an initiation here from the Cthulhu. Jungle comes out. Wonderful. He's gonna pull back the Master of Arms. He is gonna go down, as he did use that Master's Call, not going to save his life. So we will possibly see a tower push coming out, following up. Or that was not Master of Arms, excuse me. That was Engineer. I got a little mixed up there, as I did see the Master's Call, but they're gonna use a couple of cooldowns there for the secondary support. And now that I realized it's not Master of Arms, we could actually see Big Ego Crew possibly hold this tower push, as they still have that goo from the acid bomb presence there to counter push those creep waves. And we can already see Big Ego Crew, they're porting down here. They want to take this team fight as they see a couple ultimates down. Pharaoh gonna start it off with a beautiful hook there onto Blitz. Quicken not gonna help him get out of that sticky situation, as he is held in place, so he will fall. And Jeraziah currently not with his team, as well as Cthulhu Font. They're content with farming across the map, so we will not see any further engagement. So, actually, speaking of Hammerstorm, he's gonna get caught out here. What was he doing up there, BKB, all by himself in the Hellborn's jungle? I actually didn't even notice that he was up there until just a second ago.
When it comes, to be honest, when it comes to Dutchownage, half the time I don't know what he's doing, if I'm honest. So I've got absolutely no idea. No idea.
That
Yeah,
was
completely.
questionable to say the least. Now he will buy his team a little time to get that tower, so perhaps a distraction if anything, but I don't know if that's the hero you want to be doing the distraction on, as he's going to be that hero that scales them into the game. He has fallen off quite a bit as Jerizai is now overtaking a little bit of a GPM lead in terms of him versus Hammerstorm, but Master Rhyme's still the top one there at 430 gold per minute, going for that Staff of the Master. And I believe he's getting very close to that. I think he only needs the remaining piece there, being that Quick Blade, as that will give him that Staff upgrade. So, does Master of Arms look to Staff upgrade any of his allies this game? And you know what? He's got the full Staff. I was wrong. Apparently, I'm just wrong about most things nowadays, as 430 GP, I'm going to get the job done.
Do I think he's going to staff somebody? Yes, I do. I think he may staff the Pharaoh a bit later on, but I would like to see an Nullifier Blade picked up beforehand, because I think his physical damage is still not quite where he wants it to be. I think perhaps going into a Nullifier Blade, into a Geobane or Shrunken Head, you know, getting himself as tanky as he possibly can whilst dishing out that DPS, I think is the way forward for him this game. And I think that Nullifier Blade, particularly with the banner burn against heroes like Riftwalker, Ophelia, Blitz, even Jerizai, I think it's so valuable. So that would be my perspective on how he should build going forward. I think the Pharaoh as well should go for a puzzle box, because you look at puzzle box against Hellborn's draft, incredibly strong. You've got extra mana burn, you've got obviously the attack speed aura as well for the physical heroes, and yeah, I would like to see a puzzle box, because I think it would definitely do some damage in this team fights.
Yeah, and another reason I love the Nullifier Blade is being able to purge that charm from Jerizai, possibly forcing out some kind of defensive item. It looks like they'll be going for a Dawnbringer this game. Very solid item for the Jerizai, but we could see something like a Nullstone or a Shrunken Head even to follow that up perhaps later in the game if he's up against that Nullifier Blade. I have a question for you in terms of the Staff of the Master. Do you ever think there's a possibility where he staffs the Engineer, which I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That one allows him to place the energy field to throw it, and so he doesn't have to put it necessarily on top of himself, as they are going up against this kind of position-oriented lineup from Hellborn, where the Riftwalker is going to be in the back, the Jerizai with his charm on, if he's not able to run around, you know, the energy field can purge the charm if he does end up running out, for example. Is there ever a merit there to upgrade the Engineer, perhaps over the Pharaoh?
It's difficult for me to answer, because I'm not much of an Engineer player myself, so I don't know how much potential there is with Staff and Engineer. I mean, I've heard some good things. I know some players like to talk about it in quite a positive manner, but I mean, I'm not entirely sure about it, if I'm honest. I would probably give it to Pharaoh, just to have, you know, more consistent ultimates, especially if you can get as tanky as possible and keep himself alive. I think having that extra cat in the team fight ends onto heroes that are trying to escape could be very valuable for them.
Bottom lane, we have an energy field coming out. Will Ophelia be able to kill off this energy field? There we go. As Cthulhuphon already starting that one off with the trample. There's the lightning shackles from Blitz and Engineer on fall here. As there's no TP support coming in, they're going to give this tower up. But while this is going on, they're counter pushing in the top lane. So will Backdoor Protocol look to set up here? One TP is coming in. Jerizai going to get locked down here in the wall of mummies. But is he the one who's in trouble? Looks like Pharaoh's the one on the run. The damage here coming in from that Syrian Light. There's the Souls Buster from Jerizai. Wormhole being channeled, landing onto 2. Will they have the damage to bring these heroes down? Aluna will fall, as well as Master of Arms. And the hold is going to come in. Now they did lose the tower, but 3 kills in total coming out for that lost tower there in the top lane, as both the Ophelia and the Blitz are still currently pushing in the bottom lane.
Yeah, who was I going to mention next? The Hammerstorm. Okay, so obviously we see a Twin Blades, we see a Whispering Helm. I've noticed, have they changed his staff effect? Because it now says about his base damage increase for allies. I think it used to be, if you used your hammer throw, you could port to it. Has that been changed recently, or am I just being stupid?
No, he has, I don't believe so. He has staff boost on both his hammer throw and his ultimate there.
I see. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm being completely brain dead then. That's my mistake. I didn't see it.
That's fine.
They've kept it for Q. Too much Dota recently. It's messing with my head. But no, yeah, it's good to see. I think having the blink on the hammer throw is so valuable.
Arms, he's gonna get initiated on here by that warp site. As Cthulhuphon lines up the trample, they're gonna get the red kill there under Master of Arms. On the wall of mummies is locking down the Ophelia. They will bring him down before he can get off his Ophelia's touch. Now Cthulhuphon is in the fray, as Dream of Madness going to wear off here, and he will get the portal key to safety. Blitz going to use the lightning shackles there onto the engineer, and it looks like the team fight will conclude there with it being a 1-for-1 team fight as Ophelia and Master of Arms do both fall, but Jeremiah takes out the tower there in the mid lane, and that should give him the full Dawnbringer, I believe, unless he's going for the early Shrunken Head with that Mighty Blade. Do you think this is going to be a Shrunken BKB, as he's kind of pooling a little bit of extra gold here?
Well, I'm not sure. I think. Do I like Shrunken Heads? Yes, I do, because it means you can charm another ally. So you can charm the Riftwalker, so you can catch and obviously get a good ultimate off. I think, as you say, because he's pulled a few thousand gold now, he can buy it, and as we see, yeah, he's bought it. So Shrunken Heads is the pickup, and I think it is smart. It is definitely smart. I would like to see him upgrade the Dawnbringer for the extra
Mid
play.
lane, all that thought is damage up here. Riftwalker gonna get locked down. 2-man trample stun coming in from Cthulhu. His energy engineer's got his energy field down. They will bring down the Riftwalker as Ophelia respawns, uses that Ophelia's touch. But will they be able to get any response kills here? It looks like we'll have a complete fallback from both sides. So only Riftwalker falling here, as Master of Arms will find himself a regeneration rune there at the bot river.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Aluna. So Aluna obviously got the Bloodlust. She picked up her Ghost Marches. I mean, I think we're likely to probably see a Sand Scepter just to try and remove the charm from Jebediah. We
Okay,
could
yeah.
possibly see a Tablet of Commands against the Hellborn jump. Is quite unique in the sense we don't tend to see Mekx kind of struggling on that support role. I mean, normally he'd be like 250 GPM plus. So
Yeah.
in the items department, I think what makes Big Ego Crew such a strong team is their supporting cast always pick up some really valuable items, and that's something we're not seeing so far. Yes, it is quite early, but just wanted to kind of point out that I think if Mekx on Aluna and Engineer, if they can get the items they need, really transition to some good team fights, then I think the game will be a lot more positive for them. And I think the reason why Hellborn are doing so well at the moment is their heroes profit off having limited items a bit earlier than the Legion side. So particularly with the Ophelia, obviously the Riftwalker doesn't need too much as well because she has such a high burst damage output. She's gone for the tablet and the soul trap. So yeah, a typical kind of zero build. But yeah, good pickups definitely on the Hellborn. Barrier Idol, Cthulhu Fun. So useful against the top two supports that we see. And yeah, so as we talked about, Shrunken Head Jebediah, I think Hellborn are going to be extremely difficult to kill as we go into the mid game. So we'll have to kind of wait and see if Legion can get the physical damage they need on their cores, and if they can take the correct team fight, which will hopefully give them a bit of a lead.
Yeah, that was a very good analysis there. As I actually saw Riftwalker buy a Dancing Blade, and I don't know if he's kept that. Now he doesn't have much gold, so I think he would be going into that early spiked bola against the heroes like Hammerstorm and Master of Arms. So if they're able to get that in the next couple of minutes, that's going to be a big tool they can use for the upcoming team fights. As I also wanted to talk about Engineer. He picked up the very early Arcane Bomb. That's a fantastic pickup against the Ophelia specifically. There's no illusion style of hero, at least no illusions being built into with any kind of Geometer's Banes or any of those kind of items, but against the Ophelia, very solid for dealing with her creep army. And not only that, but getting the Arcane Bomb very early on means they can look to possibly invest into another one, as that does refresh the cooldown in the shop. So I really like the early Arcane Bomb pickup here by Shorkan against that Ophelia.
Yeah, speaking of the Arcane Bomb, how much damage does it do to Ophelia's creeps nowadays?
It does quite a lot. I don't know the number specifics, but I think if he's able to line it up on all three of her creeps, it will do a majority of their HP. So with a couple extra spells, they will be able to take out that Ophelia army relatively quickly. Now, speaking of her, we will see a Veiled Rod here as Backdoor Protocol is looking to invade Big Ego Crew's jungle currently. They want to take a team fight, possibly push this bottom tower that they were working on a little earlier. But as we can see, the Ward of Sight here at the jungle entrance, I think giving away, or spotting out rather, some of that rotation. So the heroes not being Veiled Rotted, kind of giving that one away, but we'll see them group up here in the bottom lane. Big Ego Crew just content with split pushing the map. I think they're feeling comfortable that they have the stronger late game presence with that dual core, so they're just simply trying to buy time at this point. Now the tower will fall in the bottom lane. The TPs are coming into the mid lane here as Cthulhu is not able to find the opening he was looking for, and we will see Big Ego Crew fall back into the other parts of the map now, as the Bound Eye there from Aluna does spot out that ward in the Hellborn's jungle.
Yeah, so Hammerstorm obviously quite delayed with the Shrunken Head. Not anywhere near. Well, he is about 1500. Oh no, he's just bought it. Sorry, so he had an item in his stash. Okay, so Hammerstorm has a Shrunken, which means they can team fight. If we are to see a big full-on 5v5 right now, who would you give the advantage to?
I think the Legion side still needs a lot of their core items, and most specifically, I'm going to say the Shrunken Head on Hammerstorm, because without that, he's really not able to fight into this Riftwalker Cthulhu font, AoE, and on top of the Jeraziah just dealing so much damage with that Dawnbringer, if he's able to sit on him in the team fight. But I think now that he's got the Shrunken completed, as it just gets delivered to him, they're going to feel a little bit more confident. Now, with that being said, Pharaoh gets initiated on here. The Master's Call is going to come out, but not going to prevent the kill there, as it's just too much damage with all 5 players here from Backdoor Protocol in the mid lane. Power Throw is going to be used. There's the Arcane Bomb, so you see the 2 Skeleton Kings getting taken out with the Catman, the lone survivor. He's going to fall to the tower, so there goes Ophelia's army. That might actually prevent this tower from going down. We'll see if there's any resistance. But in the bottom lane, Zulafon feeling very comfortable here, as he does have that barrier idol and the steam boots to kind of bulk him up. So he will buy some time there for that mid tower to fall over to the Jeraziah. And that's going to be the second tier 2 tower falling. They only have that last one remaining up in the top lane, as Hammerstorm, he tries to split push there in the top lane. What do you think Hammerstorm's going to look to go for as his next item?
I mean, tough one. I mean, I don't think he needs any more damage at this point. I think what he needs now is that initiation. So I would probably go for Puppetsoui right now, just to kind of like jump in here with like the Riftwalker, the Ophelia, try and take them down as quickly as possible. Especially now that you have a Shrunken Head, which means he can't be disabled. So that would be my choice. I have noticed that Jeraziah's gone for Portal Key himself, so he's going to such
Jeraziah's going to jump in here with his Brandon Portal Key with Cthulhu Font. Are they going to get the kill they're looking for? Engineer will fall. He does not have a buyback. Energy field was down, and that's placed very well. Actually going to cause some disruption for them, as Pharaoh is going to fall to double tap coming out for Jeraziah, and Master of Arms, he will fall as well. No kills happening yet for Big Ego Crew. We have a buyback from the Master of Arms as the Rip Burn is down following that wormhole. They will get the kill there onto Hammerstorm. He got caught without his Shrunken Head up anymore. And we see a pause vote coming out from our Hellborn side, as we apparently have a DC, but that's a huge fight, BKB, coming in from Backdoor Protocol. They start that off with the Trample and the Portal Key initiation as well, follow-up from Jeraziah. That was, I believe, 4 kills in their favor, forcing out 2 buybacks. Now, they are more or less inside the Legion's base right now, with all of their ultimates on cooldown. Are they still able to hold their ground here and continue this push, or do they need to kind of fall back and reset, as we've had a couple of buybacks here from the side of Big Ego Crew?
Oh, definitely, they can easily hold. They can take the racks. They can maybe look to put some pressure on the mid tower. They could even go for Kongor. So you know, the options are kind of endless, really. I mean, I would probably encourage them to go for the racks and then maybe go for Kongor and just kind of play it safe.
Okay.
I don't think they need to push mid tower as of yet, because they're so strong. They don't need to kind of force anything and, you know, potentially throw the game away. So yeah, taking the racks and Kongor would definitely be quite a smart thing to do, in my opinion.
Staff of the Master also picked up on Cthulhu Font. You know what? I didn't notice that one. I gotta think that that had a big part in that last engagement there, as that definitely amped up the Dream of Madness, kicking in that fear. That could have possibly caused the Hammerstorm to not be able to really move around in that team fight as freely as he wanted to. So the Rax is gonna fall here, BKB. We got our first Rax of the game here at the 29-minute mark. And Backdoor Protocol looking pretty solid here. They take a 10,000 gold and 6,400 experience lead, as they do a complete fallback. So you'd like to see them go for the Kongors now as their possible next objective before perhaps taking another high ground team fight?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think if they're to go for Kongor, try and use the momentum to put some more pressure onto the Legion side, maybe force another team fight somewhere. I think they're looking so strong. I think Snark, who's at 650 GPM, is so difficult to kill now. Especially with the supporting cast around him, like the Ophelia and the Blitz. it's yeah, the game is kind of, you know, definitely pushing towards their favor. The only way I can see Legion coming back into this is if they kind of make it perhaps a smoke gank and kill a core hero, or if Hellborn look to kind of overextend and potentially kind of make a kind of throw, well, I say throw, but difficult to throw the game. But I mean, if they're to overextend and do too much,
Fucker not gonna get caught here. She was getting a little curious here at the Legion Ancients. We saw an entire Big E crew team kind of hovering around the ball. So yeah, BKB, he actually did stab the engineer on the Master of Arms. So it wasn't actually the Pharaoh. He's got that ability now to throw his energy field as he pleases. And as we see the combo, we're going to fall here. No resistance coming out with Backdoor Protocol. One other thing I failed to mention earlier was the addition of the, I believe it's 1.5% of the target's max health as magic damage when they're locked down inside that energy field. And that's going to be pretty solid against heroes like the Cthulhu Font and even the Jereziah when his magic immunity runs out, or for some added damages. That is percentage based. So now it is magic damage to note there, so there will be some reduction from all this armor coming in. But against those tanky cores, I think that's got to play a nice assistance in some of that damage amplification for them.
yeah, no, definitely. So I just wanted to go onto the affiliate of the Gnome's Wisdom. So you've got the Gnome's Wisdom, you've got the Shorkan heads picked up. I mean, could Gnomes have been swapped for something different, like a Storm Spirit, for example? Or do you think Gnomes is generally still extremely viable on affiliate as you go into kind of, you know, pushing bases and stuff? Do you like the item?
I think it's still very good, and they do have a barrier idol on top of that on the Cthulhu Font, so they have stacked up a lot of these magic armor auras, which it is nice to see, as that's going to really enhance their team fighting power, as they do, or as they are really looking to take a lot of these 5-on-5 engagements. So I think due to how they're looking to close this one out, the Gnomes on top of the barrier idol from Cthulhu Font is very powerful.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, 32 minutes, they've got such a massive lead. I do want to see them push towards the top lane and just go for it now. What do you think? Do you think they can take the game now, or do you think the longer it kind of goes on, Legion could kind of creep back into it slowly?
Yeah, I think if the game does go for too long, and if the game kind of continues at this kind of slow pace, I think that does favor Big Ego Crew a little bit more. So I do think they are still kind of on that clock. No, with that being said, they still have the Jereziah farming very well. And speaking of him, what do you think about this one, BKB? He picks up a Restoration Stone, so he's gonna have double Soul's Blessing, double Shrunken Head, double Charm. You name it. Was this the pickup that they did need here to kind of close this one out, or do you think he should have went for perhaps either some more damage output or anything of that kind of nature?
Yeah, I'm about to say I think Restoration's fine. I don't think he needs to be hitting his heart or anything too tanky. He's tanky enough as it is. He's got enough damage as it is. He's got the initiation with the portal key, so Restoration Stone resetting all his items and abilities is just, yeah, kind of completes the hero really in this game.
Bottom lane, we're gonna possibly have a catch here. Riftwalker jumping in pretty aggressively here. Pharaoh gonna counter initiate here with the Wrath of the Pharaoh. Now here's Jereziah with the charm and the inner light heal, so perhaps baiting that one out as the disarm there comes in from the Spike Bola. Pharaoh will TP on out to safety, so they did glyph up that tower down there in the bot lane before eventually going for that Hammerstorm kill, but not gonna get any kills here, as we did see the top last outer tower fall from the side of Big Ego Crew.
I'll tell you what I do want to see. I don't know if you'll be on the same page with me as this. With this, sorry. Riftwalker South. Would you like
that's
to?
an interesting one.
Would you like to kind of see that fallback? I mean, I would love to see it. I think it's so entertaining, but I don't think it's really necessary. So it's probably unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think I think I agree with you there. I don't think they necessarily need that, and I think arguably they'd probably want something like a sheep stick in this game against the two cores there, for being able to lock them down on top of that Dream of Madness fear. So I think it's more likely we'll see something like a sheepstick, but that would be fun to see, at least from our casting point of view. Master of Arms, he is getting caught out here. I don't think he was expecting them to find him, but he had his teleport on cooldown there for quite some time, so he's getting caught in no man's land. Now, he does not have a buyback. That is a very big pickoff coming out from Backdoor Protocol, as that's 50 more seconds on the clock that he will not be there to help counter push the creep waves with that acid bomb, as he did pick up his Nullfire Blade level 2 now.
Yeah, I think because you're so overextended without a buyback, it kind of makes me wonder if perhaps there's an issue with the team synergy at the moment. I mean, I don't particularly want to talk about it, but you kind of think about the last tournament when one of the players decided to lead the game a bit too early. And like now with how they're kind of playing, it almost seems like the team themselves are a bit frustrated, which is not something you particularly want to see. I mean, it's only game one. There's obviously, potentially 2 or 3 more games left in the series, but it seems like, they're having a few team issues, which could be a problem.
Always a possibility here, but we're gonna see the Glyph being forced out here as the tower does get taken to around half-life. The Ophelia army kind of falling as he still has that Wolf Commander picked up. I like the usage of the those utility style of creeps now as we're kind of entering the late game phase. That creep giving a lot of extra damage assistance over to heroes like the Jeremiah. There's the energy field being thrown down, and it looks like Jeremiah, he will get to safety there. Despite the energy field being thrown there, as he did have that shrunken up, so he was able to run through that. Rift Shards picked up on the Hammer Storm. So you talked about a portal key. He's feeling like he needs more damage. Looks like he sold it actually. He's still holding the 3,900 gold. We'll see if he does decide to buy out anything here, as they are under threat of their base being pressured here.
Yeah, are you surprised we haven't seen a Source Ball picked up in how long? I'm a little bit surprised. I think perhaps, Cthulhu Defense got a lot of gold saved up.
Yeah, perhaps the Ophelia could look to buy into some of these extra team armor items, but she's gone for the tablet as well. Very Rattle, I believe, was used here as Cthulhu he's tanking the tower here. He does pick up the barbed armor on top of the staff, so I talked about that combination, and we're getting to that point now where it's going to be really difficult for Hammerstorm and Master of Arms to not get feared by that Dream of Madness, as with the barbed armor in combination, that's going to do some nasty return damage.
Yeah, Pharaoh hasn't completed his Hell Flower yet, so they're lacking that kind of silence and that disable, which they do need. As we saw a minute ago, I think Engineer kind of throwing out the ulti, a bit surprising. I mean, they know Jeremiah's got a shrunken head, like there's no point really going on to him with any spell because he's going to turn straight away. We've talked about the Restoration Stone as well, which gives him double shrunken heads. I mean, Legion are going to find it quite tough unless they set up a really solid.
Wormhole, looks like it got cancelled there. I don't know if he cancelled that himself. I don't think Hammer maybe got him with the hammer throws. I kind of caught that late, but they tried to get the catch there. Now the tower does end up falling to Cthulhu. He's going to trample away. Oh wow, the Wrath of the Pharaoh actually hooked him. Here comes the barbed armor. Dream of Madness is applied here. Cthulhu is all by himself. Will the team support get here in time? Ophelia's touch was used. Here comes the energy field, locking down the team support as Cthulhu does fall. Tablets are happening, but Blitz is going to get silenced up. Ophelia will she make the TP escape? It looks like it as the Soul's Blessing comes out to prevent that damage, and now Jeremiah is here. He's pounded in the auto attacks. Pharaoh is going to fall. Blitz will fall in response to the hasted Master of Arms, as now Jeremiah is here once again with that Restoration Stone. He's going to go for the TP on out, and will this be disastrous for Backdoor Protocol? The buyback comes from Cthulhu that he is not going to get here in this fight. So 3 players end up falling in exchange for that Pharaoh, as they do also get a buyback used by Cthulhu. So BKB, I think we got some life here in game number 1, as this this gold and experience deficit not necessarily holding back Big Ego Crew, at least just yet.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we're going to see a MSI comeback. Would be definitely make it quite fun. Yeah, so that was quite strange in the sense that Jeremiah used his Restoration Stone. He ported into the middle of Hammerstorm with Master of Arms, used his ultimate, and still died. So yeah, a bit of a kind of misplay from him. I mean, I can see what he was trying to do, but because he was alone, he had no chance of really doing anything. as we saw the buyback from Cthulhu, but I mean, it's not too bad because he's still got loads of gold. He's got one left, and he has got the ability to buy an item. So I think if they're to go into a new team fight, he could perhaps get an item like a sheep stick maybe, or I don't know, something like a Behemoth's heart just to make him a bit harder to kill. And they're still probably with a relatively decent advantage. I mean, we look at the gold lead, they're still 11,500 ahead. The experience lead, they're 10,000 ahead. So not much is really swing towards Legion. And you've got to think about the fact that Master of Arms and Hammerstorm use those early buybacks. So even those cores are having to be quite careful as they go towards the late game to make sure they don't waste the second one. So yeah, I think what it comes down to now is just a bit more kind of synergy with Hellborn's team fight, and I think they should be okay.
So I got a question for you, and I don't know if this is a silly question or if this is like a next level kind of question or whatever you want to maybe call it. But so you mentioned Cthulhu maybe looking to buy a heart. Now he knows Hammerstorm has Rip Shards, right? So that means if he were to pick up a heart, he'd be essentially giving Hammerstorm extra damage to him. Is that actually kind of a thing that he'd be willing to trade, as he does have the barbed armor picked up? Would that be actually a good thing to pick up more HP and force Hammerstorm to kind of deal more damage to him with the barbed armor? Or do you think he should look to go for something else, possibly, you know, we talked about armor items, maybe something like a demonic breastplate, frost wheel plate, those kinds of things, or even a sheep stick, more utility. Do you think he needs to build into some of these other style items, or do you think that kind of interaction there between like the Behemoth Heart, for example, could actually be something that could actually help them out? I was kind of thinking about that as you kind of mentioned the Behemoth Heart there.
Yeah, so speaking of the other items like demonic and frostfield, I think looking at those items now, I do think they make a lot more sense. Obviously, you have the armor buff, you've got the aura slow from the frostfield. I would probably give a slight preference towards demonic, only for the reason that I think if they're going to be looking to push, they can take these towers and Raxes down extremely quickly. So that's what I would go for personally. I think the frostfield plate would also be a fantastic item just for that aura slow, as we mentioned. But we do see a sheep stick on Cthulhu
Failed
front
rocket
instead.
through the fun coming in. They're going to get the sheep stick here onto Master of Arms. Will he be able to get it? Call up. Here's the energy field down, and Master of Arms will fall. Engineer will fall as well as the power throws come in. Not going to be enough damage for kills. The heals are kicking in as well. Pharaoh uses his wall of mummies. Will he hold his ground here as the team support from Backdoor Protocol is coming over the Riftburn? Will take him out. It's a double tap coming out for Cthulhu Font as 3 players fall from the side of Big Ego Crew. None falling here from Backdoor Protocol, so that failed raw initiation coming in from our Hellborn side proving to be too much there, as there is currently no buybacks on the 3 dead players, only the heroes alive, being the Aluna and the Hammerstorm, having that buyback. So I think we're going to see the second Rax fall here, BKB.
Yeah, so no buybacks, as you say. Should be a second. It should be a Mega Rax as well, I think, just with the amount of damage they have at this stage in the game. So if they're to get Megas, then that's it for Legion. No way of coming back from Megas, unfortunately. Yeah, good team fight, well played, good initiation, and the sheep stick proved extremely viable.
Yeah, that sheep stick coming in clutch there, as Master of Arms not able to deal his damage. They're getting locked down for that entirety of the fight.
Yeah, they're playing quite safely, so I don't think Megas would be an option, but second Rax is still pretty good.
Yeah, we have Engineer respawning now, Pharaoh and Master of Arms coming up alive as well. The frost armor there, or the icy cold armor as it's called, from the Ophelia Ice Ogre there. I mentioned the Wolf Commander earlier. Now he's got the Ice Ogre. I love to see the utilization of these creeps as we progress into the game, giving that extra armor over to the Cthulhu Fawn. Very powerful.
Yeah, most definitely, definitely.
So double damage rune here. Sorry to cut you off, but we have double damage on the Master of Arms. They're looking to try to make a play here with failed rots.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it. Did you mention the spike spoiler on Rift Walker?
Yes, I did. He's actually had that for a good chunk of this game now, at least like I think around 15 minutes or so.
Okay, I probably didn't notice it. I haven't looked at Rift Walker too much, so yeah, I'll take responsibility for that. Obviously, a massive pickup.
Did this failed rock gank get spotted out? Look at how Backdoor Protocol is just kind of hugging their base. It's almost like they're expecting this play as, you know, perhaps they can kind of expect something's up with both the bottom and the mid lanes not really being addressed here by Big Ego Crew. They have those 2 creep waves at their base. But great by them to kind of not give an opportunity over to Big Ego Crew to get some kills in return.
Yeah, so speaking of the failed rock gang, I will serve you. Can hear Riff Walker talking there.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Did you hear it? Yeah, I couldn't hear myself for a second. Yeah, I think the failed rock gang was spotted, which obviously didn't come to any fruition. I mean, Hellborn now, all they need to really do is just push the mid lane. I don't think Legion could really hold unless there's a stupid mistake or, you know, kind of a misplay from somebody. It looks like they're sending a few heroes towards the bottom lane smoked, so Two Different could be waiting for someone.
Yep, they got that cheap stick ready to go if anyone does decide to leave the base here. Now, Engineer, he's getting a little curious, trying to set up perhaps some mines here. Master of Arms doesn't have a shrunken head, so if he gets initiated on, here we go. Speaking of him, here's the trample into the Dream of Madness and the Barb being applied. Here comes the energy field down. Wormhole is channeled on top. Pharaoh is taking some heavy pressure. He will be the first one to fall on top of Master of Arms. 2 players dead. Will there be any buybacks is the question. Doesn't look like it. It's Jerazai. He's going to fall to the Hammerstorm, who's holding his ground. Now the shrunken head has worn off, and it is going to be a double tap for Dutch there. Will they look to pursue here as Ophelia is going to most likely fall here? There's going to be the 3rd kill as Engineer does get that one. So they did lose Pharaoh and Master of Arms early on, but they turned it around there, getting 3 kills. And that's going to be a nice hold coming out from Big Ego Crew as Hammerstorm continues to level out his Rift Shards there. So, BKB, do you think we still got a fighting chance here with Big Ego Crew as they currently only have that 1 Rax remaining?
Yeah, more chance. I mean,
Okay.
just talking about the fight and the initiation, I liked the idea. I liked the idea behind Two Different wanting to jump the Engineer. The only problem was they used the Two Different stun and Sheepstick. They used the Jerazai jump. They used the Riftwalker ulti as well. And yes, it's great you're killing 2 heroes, but what that means is Hammerstorm's got so much potential to clean up with the Rift Shards, which is exactly what we saw. He obviously kind of turned the fight in their favour. So you have to kind of think about his Master of Arms at this stage with his 1-8 scoreline. His GPM is relatively low. I'm sure Hellborn will probably be aware of that. Do they really want to prioritise the Master of Arms? I'm going to say no. I don't think he really does enough. I think if he's to have a shrunken head, he would obviously become a lot scarier. But for now, I don't think he's a target you really want to go for. Engineer, definitely. Pharaoh, not so much. Aluna, not so much. But Engineer and Hammerstorm are those targets you want to try and take out quickly. Otherwise, you know, Hammerstorm is gonna clean up and be a nuisance.
Okay, so yeah, perhaps maybe allocating that cheap stick to a different target could be the plan moving forward. Sand Scepter, I don't know if we talked too much about Aluna, but she's got the Sand Scepter. They have double tablets there in both the Engineer and the Aluna, as well as the Portal Key now, and the 2nd Arcane Bomb. So Aluna definitely getting a couple of items there in response to the Sheep Stick, as well as a 2nd Arcane Bomb that I pointed out. But Master of Arms, he continues to try to work on that shrunken head. I think he's still quite far away. I don't know if he actually has the 2nd piece there to the shrunken, but it's going to be a while before he gets that completed.
Yeah, I don't. Just judging by his GPM, I don't think he has the 2nd piece. I'd be quite surprised at least. But yeah, as I said a minute ago, I think if he is to get the shrunken head, he will be quite a nuisance because Hellborn won't be able to jump him as quickly. Or they won't. Well, they can jump him quickly, but then he's got the potential as the Sheepstick ends to then obviously activate his shrunken head and perhaps turn the fight. So I think it will be a bit more of a kind of worry for Hellborn when he does get the item. I think Hammerstorm, he's got 4,000 gold saved up. I mean, Symbol of Rage in my eyes is probably the most likely pickup. Do you think we're going to see a symbol?
I missed an initiation there actually. Cthulhuphon goes down. That's a pretty big kill coming up from Big Ego Crew. I think that started off with Pharaoh perhaps locking him down with the Hellflower, and then Engineer throwing that energy field down on top to prevent any kind of follow-up from the team support, which we could see there wasn't really in the area. So that's going to open up a Kongor kill here for Big Ego Crew, as Hammerstorm's outputting 1,000 damage crits there on the Kongor, so we can already see his damage output starting to kind of build up. Looks like they want to take this Kongor fight. They have a ward down. We see the HP of the Kongor. Jerizaya jumps in with the Soul's Blessing there. Uses his first Shunken Head. He's going to pop the Restoration Stone. Pharaoh is locking down the Riftwalker. Riftwalker will fall. Didn't get her Wormhole off or her Shunken Head, so big Hellflower coming in there from Vulka as the fight is continuing now. Will they be able to continue this fight, as Backdoor Protocol is kind of fighting one by one here? Ophelia gonna get locked down, she will fall.
Bitch that.
And the Kongor still very low here, as they're gonna turn their attention toward that. But Engineer looks like it will fall back to 3 waves. They're gonna get themselves their 3rd Kongor, it looks like. So this stat buff starting to pile up here. As are you surprised, BKB, that the Hellborn side only has 1 Kongor, given kind of the state the game's kind of been in? Because I feel like if you were to ask me, based on how the game was kind of playing out, I would have expected it to be the opposite. That Backdoor Protocol would have the 3 Kongors, and Big Ego would only have the 1.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I think I would have expected Hellborn to have at least 2 or 3
At
Kongors
least 2 by now.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to talk about the fight. I think the main issue with that fight, and I like what Snark's thinking about, because he knows with his items and he knows with his obviously ability to jump in, he wants to play aggressively and he wants to kind of shut down the Hammerstorm with his Stormbringer. But because Legion have obviously a Sand Scepter now, you know, they have the Shrunken Head on the Hammerstorm. You know, they have some good vision around Kongor as well. It's so easy to kind of fight the Jerizaya at the moment, and the tablets and stuff too. So, you know, Jerizaya is getting kited. You know, Legion are starting to kind of turn the game in their favour a bit more, because they've got these pickups now, which enables them to kind of walk around the Jerizaya and not let him do what he was doing earlier on, where he had obviously a lot more potential to get in their face, and Legion couldn't really escape it. So, with the way that we're seeing obviously the kiting potential, Jerizaya is not as much of a threat as he once was. He was 650 GPM as well. He's now at 520. So obviously there's a massive kind of decrease there. I mean, I would still give them the favour in this game, because they have got 2 racks and the buyback state is generally pretty good. However, I think what he needs to do is just slow down a bit more and play a bit smarter. You know, perhaps go on a different hero. You know, like, let's say, I don't know, the Luna possibly. Or, you know, use a sheep stick onto the engineer, as we said, as opposed to kind of jumping the Hammerstorm, where, you know, Luna's kind of going to be around the corner helping him to escape the Jerizaya.
So Jerizaya, speaking of him, he picks up a Nullstone here, and I got a question for you. First one, is Nullstone the item that he needs, as he's already got kind of that double Shrunken, double Protective Charm kind of thing going on? And my second question is, what about something like a Wingbow or a Gajuro? Maybe more so the Wingbow, as it's going up against that dual right-click presence of both the Hammerstorm and the Master of Arms. And again, he's not an agility hero, but just for that evasion kind of effect, do you think that would be something that's very valuable for him this game, or do you think, or what do you think about his item?
Yeah, so I like the Nullstone. I think it's the right pickup, because it just goes back to what I was saying about him being kited. So it makes him a lot less easier to be kited because of the single target spells and items that Legion have. So they can't use things like, you know, tapping command against him.
And we're gonna catch the Master of Arms recording out in the trees. His port almost landed. He will end up falling there.
Yeah, so they can't use, obviously, you know, Sand Scepters against him anymore. He's got the ability to, you know, get in the face of the Legion lineup a bit easier, and I think it's the right pickup, as opposed to Genjuro. Yes, it's great, it gives you attack speed, it gives you double invisibility, but at the same point still applies. If he's scepters in place, then he's not going to be able to move, so it doesn't matter if you're invisible or not, really.
Okay, fair points. Now he will get that double Nullstone effect with the Restoration Stone as well, and this will help him with blocking things like the Hellflower. Pharaoh's gonna miss his wrath of the Pharaoh here, unfortunately hits the creeps, as Hammerstorm, he gets locked down. He does have a buyback with the Shunken Head still ready to go. Energy field is down, gonna catch 3 of them, fearing them here, or purging them, excuse me, as Cthulhuan, he's gonna trample out of there. Now will they have the catch here, as Hammerstorm is going to get Storm Spirited up. Still has his shrunken head ready to go. Engineer trying to get the catch here as Cthulhuphon is going to go for the port out. And it looks like everyone from Backdoor Protocol will escape. While this was going on, BKB tier 4 tower in the base does fall. So one of those tier 4 towers is down now. One more remaining before that world trade is exposed. So they're slowly chipping in the damage there.
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up. I think one thing we don't talk about much as casters or as players in general is when it comes to those tier 4 towers, if you obviously have those kind of creeps pushing in towards like the bottom lane or the top lane, for example, it just enables them to push a bit quicker towards the shrine, which therefore means that Legion in this case have to be a lot more careful as to how their base is going to look. So when you've got 2 tier 4 towers protecting the shrine, you can be a bit more relaxed in terms of how the creep waves are pushing in. But in this case, you obviously have to be quite aware that, okay, we've only got 1 tower, the shrine is then going to be quite vulnerable if that tower's taken down. We've got to play quite defensively in and around the base.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. So Hammerstorm's out of buybacks now, BKB. He's bought out a demonic breastplate. What's the next step moving forward here from Big Ego Crew? As we kind of pointed out a lot of their obstacles that they have to overcome here.
Yeah, quite a few obstacles. Obviously, we talked about the creeps. We've talked about the fact there's no buybacks in Hammerstorm. So the last thing they want to do is to put him out of position for him to get caught. So I think they do need to kind of defend the high ground. Yeah, it's difficult really. I think they just have to kind of wait for Hellborn when Hellborn are ready to push, try and take a good team fight and just see what happens. Coming out of the base is risky because, as I say, there's no buybacks on Hammerstorm, which means that if he dies, the game's going to be over. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to see apart from probably a bit more kind of back and forth for about 5 minutes or so before Hellborn commit to a push. And then I think if they are to push, then Legion have to put up quite a solid defense to them to get any involvement.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. So you're expecting Big Ego Crew to just kind of let Backdoor Protocol come to them or they're kind of stuck here defending a couple of their lanes.
Yeah, I think so.
We see Backdoor kind of working on their Conqueror, but it looks like they stopped. Perhaps they want to try to go for a pick off here rather than go for the Conqueror kill. As finally Master of Arms gets his Shrunken, he must be so relieved there. He's been working on that for quite some time there, as not really sporting the best stat line this game, unfortunately, but that's going to definitely help him out a lot if he's able to get that off in the team fights moving forward. But once again, Cthulhuphon Veiled Rod here. He's going to try to look for the opening with the Sheepstick. Now, the team support's very far away, so the follow-up will not be necessarily right on cue, but he's going to get his Rod broken here. Sheepstick comes in onto a Luna, and it looks like that's not the target they were hoping to initiate it on, as they immediately fall back following up that Sheepstick initiation. Riftwalker jumps in here, not going to line up anything, unfortunately.
I don't know if you've noticed, can you believe the game is almost an hour long?
I actually can. It's been a very kind of slow hour, and I do agree with you in the sense that it hasn't necessarily felt like an hour, but it has kind of slowed down, I think, quite a bit, at least from the early half of the game where we saw a lot of team fighting. But now the team's kind of in that position where neither team really wants to make that big crucial mistake that kind of cost their team match, for example. So we see a lot of this hugging together kind of play style, as any kind of pick off now that we're entering the very, very late game stages can be very crucial toward the conclusion of the match.
Just out of interest, what's the longest game you've ever played in Hon?
I've ever played? Oh,
Long,
wow.
Competitive or TMM?
Competitive game?
No, or TMM, either.
Or TMM. I think I've played a 90-minute game before. I don't know if I've ever broke the 1.5 hour mark. It's always hard to kind of remember these things. I've played so many games with Hon in my lifespan, but I want to say I've seen 90 minutes. I know for a fact I've played 80-minute games.
Yeah, I've seen 90 minutes, and 90 minutes is no mean feat to deal with, because your focus, like I find when you're playing a game of Hon, is so action-packed and quick-paced. Obviously, from like minute 5 to like minute 30, 35, and it kind of slows down a little bit sometimes. But then if you go into like, hour-long games where, you know, in this case we've got 2 racks of Hellborn, you know, they're kind of careful about how they approach it. The focus
Oh,
level,
Hammerstorm. They're going to see him here with the Veiled Rock Cthulhuphon. He's going to go in on the Engineer here as Hammerstorm gets some right clicks out. There's the power throws from Mekx, but Tablet comes in on the Blitz. He does survive. Meanwhile, Engineer does fall over to Jeremiah and Cthulhuphon, and Master Orb's going to be the next victim despite having that Shorkan up. Pharaoh's taking some heavy pressure here. He's going to get going on. Wormhole connects onto Hammerstorm, and there's going to be a buyback here from Engineer. No buybacks from the rest of the team. You know what, BKB? I think that team fight just did it. The GGs are being called here at the 1 hour mark, and Backdoor Protocol is going to take game number 1 here in this best of 3 series. So, final thoughts on game number 1, BKB?
really good game, very long game, finished pretty much dead on the hour. So good way to kind of start things off. And I think it's nice in a tournament like this to kind of see the better teams being prioritized in the early rounds. Like, no disrespect to having tournaments where you get lesser teams that are perhaps like in the 1500 1700 bracket. But I think what we get now is a lot more entertainment value because 1, we've got better teams, and 2, it's best of 3 series. So there could be 1 or 2 more games, which would be good to see. And I think overall, in terms of Legion, first of all, so Big Ego Crew, I think a lot of their issue was the Master of Arms pick. You know, caught out by Ophelia early on, couldn't get the items he wanted to really quickly enough. I think his build was a bit strange as well, kind of rushing that staff of the Master, not going for the Shrunken Head or the Nullfire Blade, so he lacked the damage output, and he was easily picked off. Hammerstorm was kind of the saving grace, but even at the end, you know, he was just taken down so easily because Hellborn just have so much lockdown and team items that Hammerstorm couldn't do much apart from that one team fight about 15 minutes before the end. I think in terms of Backdoor Protocol, how they played was fantastic. Really, really good to see. You know, items like Storm Spirits, Sheep Sticks, Barbed Armors picked up. I think the Jeremiah build overall was definitely correct. We didn't see a Frostfield plate, which is a little bit surprising, but it turns out they didn't need it. And I think overall their team play was just slightly that bit better. But yeah, GG.
Yeah, I think you hit pretty much all the key points that I would have kind of mentioned there. So that's going to do it there for game number 1. So we'll be back shortly here, coming up with a game number 2. We'll see if Big Ego Crew can win that one and force a third and final game here in this best of 3 round 1 match. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back shortly with game number 2. Welcome back, everyone, from the break. We are here now with game number 2. Back again with the ClanTour number 1 tournament here with Backdoor Protocol on the Legion side and Big Ego Crew here on the Hellborn side, with Backdoor Protocol currently leading the series 1-0. Again, this is a best of 3 series, so if Big Ego Crew can win this one, they will force a third match. I am once again What You Got going to be rejoined here by BKBnchill here. Welcome back from the break, BKB.
Thank you. Welcome back to you as well. Looking forward to your game 2.
Right, you are. So we got the bans already completed here. We have Ophelia, Bubbles, and Fade banned out from Big Ego Crew, Monarch, Moira, and Engineer being banned out there from the side of Backdoor Protocol. So we got a couple of bans here, BKB, that were in last match. Do you think that surprises you by all means?
Kind of. I mean, the bands themselves are pretty much identical apart from the Engineer and the Ophelia.
Yeah.
So the Ophelia obviously is something that Shorkan doesn't want to deal with. Very, very useful in the game 1. I have a feeling Huge Soul might have said, okay, I don't want to play mid lane if there's an Ophelia in the enemy team. So in that instance, it could be kind of something that maybe Kevin suggested. I think the hero in general, incredibly strong, so useful in this meta game as well, where it's so much about ganking and kind of dominating the early game stages. So that makes a lot of sense to me. The rest of the bands, including the Engineer, all relatively standard. I'm not going to go over them because I think most people will tend to know what these heroes can do in terms of what they offer to the game. So I'll let you take over and I'll let you go straight into the picks.
So we have a Cthulhuphon first pick here coming out from Big Ego Crew. Response picks of both the Chipper and the Master of Arms. And then we have Rhapsody and Midas going to be picked up here following that Cthulhuphon pickup. So They get their hands on the Cthulhu font there as they played against that one from the side of Backdoor Protocol in game number 1. And they have a nice pair of heroes behind that Cthulhu font as well. But the Chipper and the Master of Arms here picked up from our Legion side. We could potentially see those as a pairing of supports. Anything you really want to add there to the first couple of picks before we go into the next wave of bans?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I have to apologize. I had a quick DC for like 5 seconds. I think my internet
No
kind of went
problem.
out. My internet went out for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I've just seen them. So we can see Cthulhu, Vern, Rhapsody, Midas. So this draft is better, I think, so far in the sense it's more team fight or sorry, not more team fight orientated, it's more ganking orientated, as opposed to the last one was a little bit less in the fact they had a Hammer Storm and Master of Arms to look after. So
Hmm.
I think with what they can do now, especially with the Midas pick, once Midas gets level 4, once he gets his Striders, he can do a lot and he can add a lot of value as he rotates into other lanes. I think Rhapsody is different to Aluna in the sense they've now added obviously a heal onto their support.
Yeah.
So that would kind of give them more presence in the laning phase with regards to keeping the carry alive. Legion's picks, so we see Chipper and Master of Arms. Chipper, as everyone knows, fantastic hero. Offers a lot of utility, offers that kind of rune control, that harass potential, that ganking potential, that stacking potential. It can do so many things with its skill set.
Yeah.
And I think if you kind of combine that with like a Deadwood who sets up with the portal key jump, you've got the burst damage with the Chipper, you've got the stuns and Master of Arms. So you're definitely seeing a lot of lockdown coming from Legion as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And throw a Deadwood on top of that Acid Bomb, minus armor with the Rotten Grasp. That's a lot of physical damage between the two heroes there, as they have one more pick coming up. But we'll quickly go over the bans here. We have Magnus, Gemini, and Malakin going to be banned out from Backdoor Protocol. Bramble, Defiler, and Scrap. Those are not your typical bans there coming out as Big Ego Crew kind of addressing some of those. I'm going to call them zero heroes there for the mid lane as a little more unusual style of picks, but pretty strong heroes in their own rights. A lot of push presence and whatnot from those the trio of heroes there.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed about Zero particularly when he plays mid lane, he loves to kind of pick these lockdown heroes. So you've got heroes like, Rift Walker last game with the lockdown ultimate. You've got Polywog Priest with the Hex and the trap from the wards. Um, I think he plays Bubbles, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And it seems like when he kind of goes into that mid lane, he loves to kind of have that factor where he can keep a hero locked down for long periods of time. The Deadwoods, I mean, what do you think about Deadwood? Have you seen Deadwood at all recently in any scrims? I mean, I don't think I've seen Deadwood for quite a while personally. What do you think about it?
I've seen Deadwood a few times in scrims. They usually like to run him in the off lane, either in 1v1 lanes or in 2v2 style lanes as more of a killing combo. And I think we'll see Yoghar. Again, I don't know the correct way to pronounce that, but he's, I believe, typically their Deadwood player. So I'm expecting him to get that one and the poly to be swapped over to zero there for the mid lane. But I would be surprised if they, or I wouldn't actually be surprised rather if they do kind of swap up to some of the other players. But they're going to finish it off with an Oogie there, so they're going to bring some carry presence there, more of that team fight kind of carry style presence with the magic damage, supplementing all that physical damage that they have already previously picked up. Throw in the Polywog Voodoo wards there as well, so a lot of physical damage. Now they have that Oogie for the magic presence. And then we see the Sandwraith and the Alonia picked up from Big Ego Crew. And you talked about how you kind of like the shaping up of this lineup a little bit more in terms of the ganking presence. Throw a Sandwraith on top of that BKB, and what more can you ask from your position one hero than to have that global presence with a hero like the Sandwraith? And then we saw, I don't know if you got a chance to catch a scrim that I casted recently where Big Ego Crew ran the Alonia, but I saw Puppetsoui here get upwards of almost 700 GPM very early on with that Alonia, as they are most likely going to be looking to stack that jungle for him very early on, send him in there to clean up those stacks and see if they can skyrocket his GPM very early on.
Yeah, no, I think when it comes to that game, I don't think I saw it. No. But what I want to talk about is with the Alonia. You think of Alonia, she's an easy hero to gank, very, very squishy. But then when you've got heroes like Rhapsody, you've got Midas, you've got Cthulhu, you've got the Samwraith with the ulti that can come in and support Alonia. I do think Hellborn have an overall very solid draft. Legion's draft, as we spoke about, are very much about lockdown, trying to burst heroes as quickly as possible, trying to take those ganking opportunities to really get in the faces of Hellborn. And I think that's what we're going to see quite a lot of from them, and trying to make as much space for Oogie as possible. One thing I wanted to mention as well is when you've got the chipper, obviously stacking those camps very early on with the rockets. The Snark can then obviously take out, double and triple stacks, very, very quickly, and he can rocket his farm up quite fast. That I think that Hellborn, if they try and go on Oogie, might kind of suffer. I might find it quite difficult to kill him once he gets his like Gnome's Wisdom, for example. He may decide to go for a Null Stone against the Samwraith ulti, and I think they may find it quite hard to kill him. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. But if I'm completely honest, and if I'm going to give an overall kind of analysis on the two drafts, I like them both, and I think it's going to be quite a close and even game.
Okay, so we're starting off here with Big Ego Crew with a tri-lane in their short lane. Now they do have a TP on the Midas, so perhaps this could be more of a bloodless attempt than anything, as that Ward of Sight will spot out both the Master of Arms and the Deadwood. And gotta think that Master of Arms could be that potential first blood target, as they're gonna start here with the Desert's Curse, the Golden Salvo coming out from Midas as well. A lot of pressure coming out. Rhapsody still has that staccato stun. They're gonna box out both the Deadwood and the Master of Arms here, so perhaps just looking to get Sandwraith that early start, as he is very vulnerable to this aggression lane of both the Master of Arms and the Deadwood. But as we can see there, Midas porting down to the bottom lane, so he's gonna join Cthulhu down here. Maybe a Bloodlust kill could possibly be lined up here on the chipper. Looks like Cthulhu not feeling comfortable with the HP pool being very low there, so we will now evolve the lanes into a 2-1-2 setup. And in the mid lane, we see Alonia versus Polywog Priest as that 1 versus 1 matchup. But now that the lanes are 2-1-2, what do you think of the laning stage from both sides? Maybe?
Yeah, so if we talk about the safe lane for Legion at the moment, I think I would probably give it to Oogie and Chipper, because if Chipper's to get his focus buffer, I don't see. I mean, it's difficult to call, but I don't really see Hellborn picking up many kills in this lane, which is what they really want to do when you've got a Midas and Cthulhu in the same lane together. If we talk about the mid lane, the Polywog against Alonia, I'd probably give that to Alonia. I think Alonia has a bit more long range harass. I think she has a greater higher damage output as well. She can kind of push those lanes and control those runes early on. The top lane, where we've got the Deadwood Master of Arms against the Samwraith and the Rhapsody, I think I'd probably give it to Deadwood and Deadwood and MOA, because I think the heroes do a bit more and they're a bit tankier.
Speaking of MOA, he's taking a lot of pressure here. There's the Disco Inferno. One more auto attack from Rhapsody. That's gonna do it. That's our bloodless kill. Golden Apple being used by the Sandwraith there, but not gonna get him the escape as the log being thrown by Deadwood. So what do you think about that trade, BKB? So they get the bloodless kill on the Moa, but they do sacrifice their Sandwraith. Is that worth it in the end to give up the Sandwraith?
I think it's a slightly better trade for Legion, because Hellborn didn't get the Bloodlust on Samwraith. So Samwraith didn't get the extra gold boost, which means that his GP went to 240 now, whereas it could have been like 350 if he was to get the Bloodlust and then die. So for Legion, I definitely think they'd be a bit happier. Looking into that lane a bit more detail, I think we have got. And they do kill Samwraith.
Oh, I actually missed that one. Sandwraith going down once again. Rhapsody will get the counter kill. There's the Golden Apple from Deadwood. So Sandwraith falling again, and maybe this is why they initially started with that tri-lane, just trying to get him that good start, but already falling 2 times here early on. Going to set them back a little bit, as he's now 212 gold per minute. I wanted to talk about something with your BKB, as I know you love the mid lane, you're a mid lane player yourself. Polywog goes for the Marchers here before the bottle. We saw Alonia get that first rune in the bot river, which was the Mystic rune. What's your thoughts there behind the bottle versus the boots? One side going for the alternative.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and to answer that, I think I do like it, because with Alonia, especially with how Usual plays her, he's always looking to try and pick up a kill. So I think Polywog's quite aware of that. And going for the boots first, what is the negative
Oh,
of
kill
that?
in the bottom lane. Actually, I missed that one as well. Boy, I'm missing the kills left and right. Hopefully the camera's catching him as Chipper goes down there to Cthulhu and Midas now Oogie is going to get the return kill here onto Midas as he was not able to warp away in time. And that will be the end of that. Meanwhile, we had an Invis Rhapsody there in the mid lane. I kind of saw that one coming before that fight in the bottom lane happened. That's where my attention actually was. And they locked on the Polywog Priest. I believe he was kind of low on mana as well. So a big rotation for Mekx there on the Rhapsody to get Alonia with an even larger lead now in the mid lane. Bottom lane again, we have another kill on the Chipper. And that will, it looks like, conclude the fight. So Cthulhu and Midas causing a lot of disruption down here as well. Both the aggressive mana lanes netting some kills here early on, BKB.
Yeah, so just going back to the mid lane, which you mentioned to me a minute ago, I think when it comes to going for the boots first, I like it. But the only problem is you're going to fall behind in terms of farm. So obviously Alonia with the bottle, he can spam his spells a bit more, he can go for rune control. He can do more with his overall hero in this lane. Whereas Polywog is kind of stuck to that lane. You know, he wants to obviously get the bottle, which he does have now actually. You can see that. So he's got the bottle, he's got Shriders, he's got his manufacturing, so he does have everything he needs. But with how it was a few minutes ago, you know, I think all he wanted to do was to make sure he didn't die, and unfortunately he was caught out by the Rhapsody, who was in
Top lane, Alonia's here. Sorry to cut you off. He's trying to get the angle here. Maybe he might find the Master. I was guessing there with the Frigid Field and the Glacial Spike, but as we can see, Moa is already long gone, so Alonia will knock at the opening he was looking for. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Oogie does fall to Cthulhu and Midas, so Primal Surge was used there, not going to be enough to keep him alive. Now Chipper taking a transmute, trample backwards, and that will be a second kill. So Cthulhu and Midas once again causing havoc down here in the bottom lane, this time setting up 2 kills. And we see Big Eagle off to a 6-3 start here. Definitely a different story from game number 1, as not having that Ophelia to kind of set the pace of the match here early on, like it did in the last match.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Chipper obviously going for the focus buffer is what I expected. It's kind of shown that it's not having as much value as I thought it would. Maybe it's because he's only level 3, so he's only got 1 level in it. As he starts to get towards getting some more levels into his E-spell, I think it will definitely become a lot more useful for keeping Oogie alive. But yeah, I think the lack of levels is obviously why he's going into the jungle now to kind of sack some camps to make sure Oogie can farm them relatively soon. As Midas is going towards Polywog, but he's going to return. Yes. So I think the lane itself is just showing how much potential and how strong it is when you put 2 magic stuns with Cthulhu and, you know, Midas together. How quickly they can burst these heroes down is something there they've been feeling very good about, because with the last game they were kind of lacking that kill potential early on, but it's definitely changed around this time, and it's something I think they thought about with their draft and they wanted to kind of execute a bit better.
Yeah, so Alonia, she already worked on some jungle camp stacks. She's currently level 8. She's the top level of the game. And speaking of her, she's already here once again in the top lane, trying to set up another kill as Sandwraith with the Sandstalkers trying to slow down the Deadwood, but again, gonna come up short here with this rotation. So a couple of times now, Alonia's tried to set up the ganks in the top lane, but not able to find those openings. As he cleans that creep wave up so fast, he's going to use another Veiled Rot here. Might run into an Oogie, though. This could be dangerous for him, as it looks like Oogie will just fall back, not spotting him out right away. But over in the Hellborn jungle, we have Rhapsody getting gone on here. There's a Polywog initiation with the Morph. Master Rhymes here as well. Will the heals be enough to get Mekx to safety? He eats the tree, but he runs out of blights, and it looks like, will he be able to go through the trees here? No, he will not. So potential escape there. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Deadwood solos the Sandwraith here, using the Willowmaker, and Sandwraith falling to 0 and 3 now. Only 186 gold per minute. Bot lane, we have a trample initiation combo from Midas on top. Chipper is no more. Trying to avoid the Tarquakes here as Oogie with the Primal Surge turns it around, gets 1 kill. Midas forced to use the warp to safety. So they trade the Cthulhu font for the Chipper there. And that's a pretty good trade coming in from Backdoor Protocol.
Yeah, definitely. They'd be happy to kill the Cthulhu font. I think Chipper, as he talks about being solo level, I don't think he's going to actually mind dying if he can make a trade for it. One thing I wanted to ask you is how are you finding? I've noticed they brought back Mana Battery, which is nice because it kind of takes me back to Hon many years ago when you could kind of buy it in the lane and use it to make clutch plays. How do you find the game is sort of changing, particularly in the laning phase, now they've brought back the Mana Battery? Do you like it, or do you think it's still, you know?
Hold that thought as we have a Staccato Stun opening here on the Deadwood. Progress will be avoided by the Sandra. There's the Master's Call, and will they be able to turn this one around? Log being thrown onto the Rhapsody. Not enough damage for the kill onto Deadwood, as mid lane tower also gets denied there by the Polywog Priest. But to answer your question, the Mana Battery is back in the game. I think it's great to have Mana Battery, as well as the power supply back at its more expensive price. I think when it was the 300 gold, it was just a little bit too necessary to kind of pick up, as we have a hold here for Polywog on the Midas. They're fighting over this ward area here, as Shorkan does have that ward of sight down, but still gets caught out by the Polywog Priest. Their kill credit going to the
Yeah, one thing we noticed there, or I'll let you take the action.
Oh yeah, another initiation here. Rhapsody with the Invis. Gonna get the opening here. Here's the Mirage from Sandra. Did he actually pour it in? He is here, and he's going for the next target now. He will line up the Desert's Curse, but Polywog is in the area with a ward trap available. So Sandwraith not really finding the kind of opportunities he's hoping for. Only gonna pick up an assist there. Boarding back up to the top lane, where he is rather vulnerable to this Deadwood still.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to mention and talk about is when it comes to Polywog and his cast time on his morph, it's actually quicker than Midas's elemental warp. So ganking the Midas is often quite difficult with many heroes because he does have that leap escape. And it can be a bit slippery, but if you've got a Polywog is, in my eyes, actually one of the best counters to Midas because he has that Hex which he can cast at such a, you know, a quick speed.
I agree. Ollie, speaking of him, he's trying to set up this morph onto the Sandwraith, but Oogie actually falls in the bot lane. I'm just missing kills left and right, unfortunately, in this game. There's so much action going on across the lanes. Have to imagine that Oogie just getting caught there by the Alonia.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
That's how you said it. Yeah.
Yeah. The absolute zero not even necessary, so perhaps he was low on life.
Yes, so you spoke about the Alonia in the scrim where she had 700 GPM. Did she go for the same build-up that we're seeing now? So obviously with the light brand, the chalice, the bottle, or did she go for something? Yeah.
So he went for this, and then he got off to an amazing start. As hold that thought, we have a kill.
Kiss my ass.
Chipper getting caught out here. Starting that off with the Desert's Curse into a transmute, but he went into an early light brand, but didn't look to upgrade that. Just simply went into more aggressive items like the Post Haste, the Portal Key, the Jade Spire, and then eventually picking up items like the Sheepstick. As we have a fight in the top lane. Willowmaker coming out on the Sandwraith. Is the turn kill gonna happen? No, it's not. Deadwood goes down. Protected Melody just in the nick of time to prevent a possible kill there. Sandwraith was getting very low on life, but I think the Willowmaker just a little bit short on damage there, as Sandwraith was able to survive that one.
If Cthulhu was able to kill Sandwraith, that kill would have been so worth it. I was kind of thinking, oh my god, if he gets this kill, like, because with Hellborn rotating 4 heroes, the last thing you want to do is trade your carry just for a Suicide Deadwood. It's completely not worth it whatsoever. So the fact they kept Sandwraith alive is huge because 1, he was struggling, and 2, it would have made that trade completely, you know, completely in favour of Legion. So yeah, good heads up save there from the Rhapsody and team killing the Deadwood as quickly as they could. But no, Sandwraith obviously 230 GPM, Snark's 380. I think he's going to skyrocket to Noble. He's got the name's Wisdom, he's got obviously his mana boost, which he picked up very early on. So I expect, well, I'm going to ask you because you're a bit more of an Oogie player than me. I mean, what do you think we're going to see next?
That's a good question, actually. He's against a lot of magic damage this game, but hold that thought. Barrage being used, he ports to the bottom lane, they get the quick kill on the Chipper. So Trample starting that one off, I believe. But back to Oogie. I think he's going to need to bulk up this game, so we could see something like an Icon of the Goddess or a very early Shrunken Head. And I think from there, we'll see him build into items like the Sheepstick. I think for this game specifically, we won't see an early Frostfield play, but I think it is a very likely pick up, at least later on in the game. I think he'll look to prioritize items like Icon and Shorkan Head, but Alonia getting jumped here by the Polywog. Word Trap not going to connect, but it's still going to be enough damage for Noah with the Acid Bomb nearby, so Alonia does go down. And while you were talking about Oogie, did you happen to catch Alonia doing triple stacked Ancients with the regen rune?
No, I missed it.
Okay, so he did triple stacked Ancients without taking without losing much to any of his mana due to that regen rune. It was really nice to watch. And before that death, he was actually up above 500 GPM, so he's been doing very, very well. He picks up the early portal key, so we could possibly see either the Jade Spire or the Post Ace next, as Polywog gets initiated on here by the Sand, but not going to be enough for a kill here. And Oogie currently working on triple stack Ancients over by his Kongor. He used his Primal Surge, I believe, for that one just to keep his health pool relatively high there. But Tower did fall in the bottom lane as well over to Cthulhuphon and Midas as they let the team get that one. So both teams taking out the towers in the respective long lanes. So, you know, here at the 15-minute mark, we have a pretty even game. 570 gold lead for Hellborn, as well as a 600 experience lead. But in the grand scheme of things, really, really not too much of a advantage for the two sides. Lodi going to jump in here with the absolute zero. The slow's coming in. There's the Master's Call, and Mizrun going to be used here by Puppetsoui. Will he be able to get the kill? He will, but it will come at a cost of his own life, as he does get Willowmaker there. So a 1-for-1 exchange. Morph coming in onto the Midas, as you talked about, and he cannot get that Elemental Warp off. There's that counter coming in as Master of Arms gets return killed there by the Cthulhuphon and the Sandwraith. So Sandwraith does survive this team fight, and we'll see if he's going to make it another kill here as he's going for the Chipper. He does change targets there. He does kill the Chipper, as they do also bring down the Polywog Priest. So 4 kills go in the way of Big Eagle as they lose only the Midas and Alonia there. A 4-for-2 kill swing.
Yeah, I was looking at the fight between Deadwood and Alonia, and I thought it was definitely favoured towards Deadwood, because the fact that he's killed Alonia obviously slows her down because she was starting to really take off. As you talked about, with taking the triple Ancients and such, you know, she was over 450 GPM. And then also with Deadwood picking up the kill, he does have his portal key now. So yeah, obviously the biggest item you could pick up on that hero. Being able to get that was yeah, definitely crucial. So good trade for him, but unfortunately Hellborn with the initiation they have, the Sandwraith, the Cthulhuphon, the Midas, so strong, and a lot of Legion's heroes are very squishy and easy to pick off. So yeah, overall good fight for Hellborn.
So we continue to see both the Cthulhuphon and Alonia doing well for Big Ego Crew. Sandwraith still falling pretty far behind in terms of the Oogie versus Sandwraith comparison there. Oogie leading the way here at 400 and almost 80 gold per minute as he picks up a Luminous Prism. So it looks like we're going to be seeing the Sheepstick, as he does have the Cogwheel there as well. Needing just the, I believe, Acolyte Staff is the last piece, the big int piece there for the remainder of that Sheepstick. So he's not going to bulk up here in terms of stats, just going to go for that very big item early on here. So he's going to need about another 1500 gold for that completed, but that's going to be a pretty big item for him as they already have that instant hex from the Polywog. They're going to have that secondary disable once he picks that up.
Yeah, it's going to be, sorry, don't mean to cut you off.
Ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be massive, and as you say, they've got an extra disable, which means they could take this team fights and they can start to really dominate this team fights, because Hellborn, if they lose a hero like a Midas or a Rhapsody,
Mirage being used here, they're going to get the quick kill off to Deadwood. That started off with an initiation from the Alonia. All credits to that word of sight from Puppetsoui there on that cliff, so Deadwood being brought down there.
Yeah, so just go back to the Sheepstick. If they are able to obviously pick off a hero like a Midas, like a Rhapsody, or even Cthulhuphon, one of those, you know, initiators or healers, then I think Hellborn are going to struggle. And I think Legion could really dominate this fight with the Sheepstick pickup. But I would also like to see a Frostfield as well picked up at some stage on the Oogie, or maybe even a Nullstone. I mean, I don't know if you like it, but I like Nullstone just for the factor against the Alonia stun. Obviously, you got the Sandwraith ulti. What do you think? Are you a fan of Oogie with Nullstone? I mean, some players I know in TMM like to pick up all the time. I don't know if you're one of them. But I do think it makes them harder to kill.
I think he doesn't need it this game. I think the Shrunken's going to be a lot stronger for him, and he's also going up against a Dreamcatcher now. Cthulhuphon prioritizing that over something like a Barrier Idol or a Portal Key, which you saw Cthulhuphon last game. So he's definitely gone for a different item route. He's saving up a lot of gold here as well, so we could possibly see the Portal Key as his next item. But I feel like Vulka's been very quietly doing very well here in game number 2. We haven't really talked a whole lot about Cthulhuphon, but he's 400 GPM and he's doing very solid there in terms of his item progression. But the Dreamcatcher is going to be a very big tool for the team fights, dealing with the Oogie healing with his Primal Surge. So if there's no way for Oogie to kind of get rid of that buff, or debuff rather, that's going to really hurt his team fight presence.
Yeah, most definitely. Excuse me, my voice cracked. Yeah, I completely agree, and I think with Cthulhuphon, because he's got an extra, I think it's about 300 HP, 250 plus the 5 strength. So yeah, an extra 300 HP combined with his Placing Greaves, he's going to be very difficult to kill. And I know I spoke about the Sheep Sticks and the Hexes that we've got from obviously Polywog and Oogie.
Mirage being used here, is this offensive or defensive? As it doesn't look like he's porting for a kill necessarily. Maybe they were trying to set up that kill onto Deadwood, but he used the Portal Key, so avoids a possible gank there from the Sandwraith and Alonia combination.
Yeah, I was just going to say, even though you've got a lot of disables on Legion, I think Cthulhuphon is going to be so hard to kill. I don't know what you think, but 1700 HP with investments on top of that too. Legion's damage in terms of obviously look at Deadwood particularly.
Speaking of him though, he's getting caught with a trample down here. And well, looks like Oogie and Chipper have just enough damage to bring him down.
My
So he
words.
gets caught there. Yeah, a little bit of a caster's curse, unfortunately. Sorry, Vulka, but they are going to unfortunately be able to bring you down.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that one. I wanted to ask you as well, because I haven't seen Sammy for quite a while. I'm presuming Backdoor is still better.
Yes, I believe so. And we see him kind of working on that here, but again, not really having the best GPM. He does finally get, I believe, the remaining pieces there here at the 21-minute mark, as the tower does fall to the team. But what do you think we'll see next from the Sandwraith? Do you think we'll see... I mean, I guess he has a lot of choices, right? He has Hypercrown to possibly recover in GPM. He could go into something like either a Geometer's Bane or a Nullfire Blade to follow up this Thunderclaw pickup. Maybe we'll see the Nullfire as a way of kind of outputting more damage on the Oogie. Do you think he needs a Geometer's Bane at all this game? What do you think we'll see from Sandwraith following up this Thunderclaw pickup?
I don't think he's going to go for Hypercrown, because I think he can recover decently enough with just the Thunderclaw and push the side lanes with his illusions. Okay. So I think he's probably going to stick to the Thunderclaw and then go. I would personally go into an Nullfire level 3 next, just to give them loads of extra teamfight damage and the extra mana burn, which is going to be, you know, crucial against Polywog, against Chipper, against Deadwood, even as you say against Oogie for the extra damage bonus. I think after that, I would probably like to see a defensive item such as a Shrunken Head. Geometer's Bane would be relatively okay, but then Oogie, if he mans up against a Geometer's Bane Sandwraith, Oogie is going to be absolutely fine. So I don't think Geometer's Bane is going to do anything for
Some coming in here. There's a War Trap onto the fight. His Protective Melody, though, preventing all that damage. His Master Spell comes out on the Polywog Priest, and there's the Sheepstick from Oogie onto Cthulhuphon. Will they be able to bring him down? Poly was the first victim. Cthulhuphon does fall. The slow's kicking in from Alonia onto Oogie. He's hardly moving, but you know, the Polyward's kind of deterring any follow-up there. Sandwraith, while you were talking about that, BKB, he actually used his Mirage to scout things out, and he did not port anywhere, so I think that's why we saw the jump coming in from our Legion side. But this fight is not done. Willowmaker comes out onto Alonia. He does sacrifice himself, but the Chipper Rockets coming in to secure the kill there onto Alonia, so it ends up being a 1-for-1 exchange there. And who came out on top of this teamfight engagement, BKB?
Legion. Definitely Legion. You know, Polywog wasn't doing particularly well as it is. He's died. Deadwood's died, but Deadwood got his spells off, so he wouldn't died because he died for Alonia, who, as we talked about, was definitely having a good game. Cthulhuphon as well has died again, so he's slowed down even more with regards to his GPM. I mean, he was at 410, I think he was, about 10 minutes ago. He's now 350. So yeah, Legion definitely ahead. I think when it comes to Hellborn, I think as we spoke about, you know, Cthulhu is relatively tanky, but he's been shown that he can die. What they kind of really need to do is I think they need to use Samray to just make pickoffs with him and try and set up with like a smoked Midas or something and try and go for, I don't know, any hero they can, because Legion and the team fight at the moment is so strong, and I don't think Hellborn really want to take those kind of like 3v3 skirmishes or like 4v4 skirmishes or 5v5s. I think they need to go for pickoffs, go for ganks, to just try and execute a bit better. And trying to go for some of the Legion cores where possible, without losing as many heroes as they have done.
So you set smoke up on the Midas. Funny you mentioned that because he's currently Veiled Rotted, and that might be what they're looking to do now. Sandwraith, he is very low. He's going to port to the base, get that regen, as Pauly's going to get the better of this jump here, as Midas didn't go in with a combo. Here comes the Master's Call. Midas going to sacrifice himself, and here comes the team support for Backdoor Protocol. Deadwood following Sandwraith in the trees here, and this is not going to work out for Big Ego Crew. They lose 2 players here, as we see all 5 end up rotating over here,
So
seeing a couple of their ultimates.
I correctly predicted it. Unfortunately,
Yes,
I
you
think with that prediction, I actually cursed them. So sorry to Hellborn again. That's the second time I've made you die from my casting perspective. But no, it was. I think the idea was there, but Legion definitely reacted to it, and Midas missed the initial combo. So because he missed that initial combo, Legion then turned it, and you know, had the potential for Polywog to get his spells off. That was it. So yeah, Samray unfortunately dies again. Not doing anywhere near as well as Oogie, who's now at 570 GPM. But one thing I have noticed is that even though Oogie is miles ahead, the overall gold swing is only about 1,300 in Legion's favour. So it's still relatively close. The experience lead for Legion is 2,200.
You know, the bottom lane happening here is Alonia. Does use her absolute 0, and funny she uses absolute 0 and they kill 0. Just funny with the names there. But ports are coming in to defend this tower here, as that will be Oogie, and he does pick up that shrunken head, so he's going to definitely be feeling a lot more comfortable in the next couple of team fights, having both the sheepstick and the shrunken combination to kind of combat this Dreamcatcher Cthulhu font. But we have an initiation here on the Deadwood. He's going to get caught off a little bit too deep into Big Ego Crew's jungle there, as the rotations do happen following that push in the bottom lane. So a couple of kills here happening. Yep. Sorry.
So the Jade Spire of Alonia, is that what he went for in the game we talked about earlier, or has he just chosen it for this game?
No, it's a pretty common pickup for the Alonia, just really enhancing the cast range of the spells.
Yeah.
And he had a post haste as well as like his next combination of items, the Lightbrand, Jade, PK post haste, and then we saw the Sheepstick as a follow-up item. So whether or not we'll see the post haste here or not is the question. He might just value that Sheepstick a little bit faster this game due to kind of the pacing of the game. He's also kind of pooling a lot of gold here, so I'm expecting him to go into a earlier Sheepstick to kind of deal with this Oogie.
Yeah, we've also seen the Hyper Crown picked up from Samwraith, which is something you expected. So that's yeah, he's obviously got in his mind that he really wants to ramp up his farm as quickly as he can. And he's kind of shown that he values the attack speed from the item quite highly.
Raj coming out here. Where is he gonna go? As Deadwood does end up falling here. Midas getting credit for that kill. Cthulhu font stuck in the acid bomb. He will go down. So again, just a lot of team fight sustain coming in from Backdoor Protocol, despite losing that Deadwood, of course. But Polywog, he's going to get slowed up by the Desert Scourge. Now here comes the transfer from Midas. Master's Call being used. Will it be enough to hold this ground? The slows from Alonia will be enough to bring him down as Center gets rid of that kill. Sheepstick coming in onto the Alonia. There's a protected melody coming in from Mekx on the Rhapsody, but he will end up falling as Oogie is just too strong. He's leading the way with the Tarquakes, and he lined them up. The slows are kicking in from Alonia. Golden Salvo will be missed here from Midas as Alonia. He's trying to juke the Tarquakes. He's doing an excellent job. The portal key comes in, and he will get the distance to safety. But meanwhile, in the background, Master of Arms takes out Sandwraith as Sandwraith picks up the double tap eventually onto both the Polywog Priest and the Chipper. So a bit of a split team fight coming out there. A lot of kiting happening from both the two sides. And I think this finished off with a 3-for-3 team fight, if I'm not mistaken there, BKB. But the big one here for me, at least, is Sandwraith falls and Oogie does stay alive.
Yeah, really good team fight for Legion. I was more focused on Oogie as he was trying to chase the Alonia, and Alonia kited very nicely. So nice play there from Huto. As it is bottom lane Oogie's. Okay.
Yeah, Midas almost getting caught by that sheepstick, getting a little bit too far into the Legion's jungle there. Not too sure the thought process behind that, as he didn't look like he was trying to get any wards down or even set up for the Sandwraith, who's currently respawning with the Mirage also on cooldown. Snark saying, just let me hex you, bro. I don't think it works like that, unfortunately. But we're going to have an absolute Zero here in the top lane, as Zero once again falling to that Alonia damage. And now Chipper is here with Deadwood. Where is Oogie here? He is in the top river currently. Deadwood going to fall as Alonia kiting once again. The body blocks coming in from Vulka off and Cthulhu to prevent that follow-up kill there on the Alonia. But will they look to kind of hang around the area is the question. They did use a lot of their resources. Oogie, he's got a portal key now picked up. He's going to line up the sheepstick here on Midas. There's a trample coming in. Well, they have the damage to bring down Oogie. He stalls the Shrunken Head and a Primal Surge. He's going to get the Shrunken Head off. Is he going to turn this one around? The Acid Bomb is down. And Cthulhu, he is going to try to juke the Tarquakes. Here comes Oogie's damage, though, from that Flaggerate, as it's called. Forgot the name there, but he's going to get the TP on out to safety before, or after finishing off a couple of players there. So they do end up getting some return kills there on the side of Backdoor Protocol, specifically the Midas and the Cthulhu font there.
Yeah, I was watching Chipper for most of that. Chipper was kited, as he said, by about 3 heroes, as he was so desperate to get Alonia. I think Alonia was like 1 rocket away from death. So I think if they were to pick up the Alonia kill, the team fight massively in Legion's favour. But yeah, the Cores and Hellborn both managed to survive, which is good for them. Polywog did die, as we saw, but you know, Poly's not having much of a good game at the moment, so he won't really mind too much.
Alonia, sorry to cut you off. He posts ice into the bottom lane. We got a couple of players here in the area if he does decide to go for anything. He's thinking about going for the skill on the Deadwood. Oogie's just nearby with the sheepstick portal key, as I believe he got scouted out there by the Rockets. Meanwhile, Oogie, he's kind of being deterred by Rhapsody and Midas. And yeah, Alonia is going to fall here, just getting a little bit too confident down here in the bottom lane. Rhapsody also falling over to the as he picks up the onslaught streak now. 625 gold per minute BKB. The next top farmer, which was that Alonia, did just fall, and Sandwraith still not breaking that 400 GPM barrier.
Yeah, that's Oogie for you. Farms incredibly quickly, and he's obviously got 8 kills and only died twice, so he's having a very, very good game. And it's actually quite similar to his Jeremiah in terms of, I think his Jeremiah he ended up with like 2 deaths or maybe 3. So he liked tanking heroes are very difficult to kill, and he liked to kind of get in the faces of the other team and cause a lot of pressure.
We have Master Run being dove here. Ports are coming in though. There's a transmute going to be lined up. Polywog ports in with low life, and he gets killed actually by that transmute. So a little questionable TP there by the Polywog, but a nice deterrence there from Big Ego Crew to kind of stop that push down there in the bottom lane, as the Voodoo wards were dropped there. But as we can see, not going to be enough damage for that tower kill, at least just yet.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, like, I love watching Polywog play, but I think Polywog is so squishy and prone to being ganked. It's like, yeah, I'm actually in a way not surprised she's died so many times, because Hellborn's heroes are so good at catching her and stopping her PK. But even so, I think when it comes to Polywog, if you compare Polywog Priest against other mid laners, I think what he really profits on is just having that portal key itself. He's almost very similar to Deadwood, because you can do so much work with it. You can easily kind of lock down 1 or 2 heroes, you can do lots of damage with wards, and he doesn't need as many items, I feel, as other heroes do, such as like an Alonia, for example. I mean, yes, it's fantastic if you can get a Jade Spire, which he has now, if you can get a Shrunken Head, if you can get a Storm Spirit, or even a Puzzle Box in some games, if you decide it's viable. But, you know, overall, the hero is very squishy, and I think despite that, he can really profit off just having 1 item. So he has been quite valuable so far, despite the fact he's died 8 times already.
Yeah, and he picks up the Jade Spire. He's going to have that extra cast range on both his, or well, all his spells really, but the big one being the Morph and the Tongue Tie there, having that extra cast range to keep him at more of a safe distance while using those disables. But we have the Null Fireblade level 1 picked up on Sandwraith as he bottles up a DD rune. That could be a nice damage assistance there for the upcoming team fight. Was that a Restoration Stone BKB picked up on the Oogie? That's a big pickup once again here from Snark as he's going to have Sheepstick, Shrunken Head, Primal Surge on a second use there. That's going to make Oogie very, very difficult to deal with.
Like we've seen an almost identical build from game 1. The only difference being the Gnome's Wisdom is a change of the. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense. Even though was always pretty much core despite the nerfs to the items. I think he is going to be extremely hard to kill now. As you say, he's got not only a double Shrunken Head, but he's also got a double Sheepstick and a double Portal Key. So his catch potential is definitely there. His damage potential is there. His survivability is definitely there as well. So yeah, Oogie is he's also level 23, which is 4 levels higher than anybody on Hellborn. So in terms of his HP stat gain, he's definitely sitting quite comfortably at 2,300. And yeah, I think dealing with Oogie is going to be something that Hellborn have to really think about now, and they have to think about picking up not only the right items, but making the right plays as well.
So we saw the Kongor taken out with that double damage Sandwraith. Tower falling in the bot lane for Big Ego crew. Tower falling, I believe, in the top lane as well. So both teams kind of looking to get their next tier of items here. As they're not really looking for those fights necessarily. Deadwood has a Shrunken Head now to follow up that Portal Key. Haven't really talked about Master of Arms this game, but he's got a Sand Scepter, a Tablet, and an Arcane Bomb. The Arcane Bomb being a big one there for the Sandwraith Illusions. But a nice trio of items for him there as he's 320 gold per minute. He's actually the second farmer on his team. Does that surprise you, BKB? He's higher GPM than both the Polywog and the Deadwood.
Yeah, it does kind of, but I think I haven't really focused much on Master of Arms, so I haven't watched what he's been doing and how he's been rotating really, if I'm honest. I think, yeah, very impressive. His scoreline's also very good as well, so considering he was in a tough lane for the Deadwood, he has got above the GPM, sorry, above the 300 GPM mark. He's got very useful items, especially the Sand Scepter, and yeah, most definitely very impressed, and he is at 1700 gold as well, so I imagine he will probably go on to another team-based item. What he'll go for, and if you've got any ideas, I'll let you know the team fight.
Yeah, we have an initiation here. Oogie is in with the Sheepstick as they get the 1 kill onto Avodia. There is no buyback available on him. Here's a Trample being lined up. Here's the Dream of Madness kicking in, and now Sandwraith is here with the Mirage. Is he going to be able to hold his ground against the Oogie? He is going to fall. The Oogie is just too darn strong. It's going to be a hat-trick coming out for Snark, or actually it's a hat-trick coming out for Deadwood there. A little surprised there as Deadwood actually cleans up a lot of those last hit kills, but big team fight coming in there from our Legion side as 4 players are dead, and that means they're going to start working on the base here as only Midas survives that team fight, BKB. I don't know if you caught the beginning of that. Was that a jump from the Oogie with the sheep initially?
No, I kind of like half missed the initial part of it as I let you take over. Sorry, can't talk properly. As I was letting you take over, I was watching one of the other heroes. But no, what I was really impressed with at the end. So once Oogie jumped in first of all, as you say, he used the Sheepstick, got the kill very early on to the Alonia. So Alonia's out of the fight. Mekx also died as well, but I'm not sure who he died to. But what I was really impressed with was how Deadwood at the end got a double root on Sandwraith and the Tuna. So, if I'm honest, when it comes to this stage of the game, because heroes move so quickly, and they are quite difficult to catch with the cast time on the root, sorry, the Rust and Grasp, it can make it quite hard, you know, to lock down these heroes, especially a Sandwraith who's often affected by Desert's Curse with the extra movement speed. So I was quite impressed with the fact he managed to get a double root onto them both. Obviously picked up 2 kills, 2 massive kills, because obviously Oogie stayed alive in that fight. And yeah, it really has at play. I think Deadwood was the MVP of that team fight.
Okay, and he picks up a Soul's Bulwark to follow that up. Sandwraith using the Mirage here, but I think this one was yet again another scouting ultimate, just kind of trying to get them that information. They're going to not have that for a minute and a half now, but that's going to allow them to kind of allocate the map space appropriately due to seeing Backdoor Protocol's positioning here. You talked about Master... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I noticed Deadwood's gone for Soul's Bulwark. So
Yeah.
if I look at the item, the only way I see it synergizing is 1 with his spells and 2 with Polywog Priest and his ultimate.
Mhm.
Oogie, Chipper, obviously magic damage completely. Master of Arms, you know, he's not really dealing much in terms of physical DPS. So what I'm interested in is kind of hearing your thoughts on towards that Bulwark. Do you like it here, or do you think we could have seen, I don't know, let's say Sheepstick, or let's say I don't know really, what else do you buy on Deadwood? Restoration Zone, Frostfield playing. Do you
I
like
think it's pretty good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there at the end.
No, go on,
But
go on, I've been rambling anyway.
I think it's gonna just enhance his solo kill presence on the Sandwich specifically. He doesn't have a whole lot more. He currently has 16, but you know, with the Bulwark, the Root, on top of the Goo, if they line up that Acid Bomb, it's a lot of physical minus armor there. I think it's just gonna increase his single target damage as well as possibly allow them to push towers a little bit quicker. And the Sheepstick is a pretty large item for them to farm. We're going to have a Root coming out here into the Willowmaker Rhapsody, going to fall there, as unfortunately Mekx just barely missing that ward with his Ward of Revelation. Had he possibly spotted that one out, just placing it a little bit more to the right, maybe wouldn't have got caught there, but good kill there from the Deadwood nonetheless, lining that up with a Root to start it off. Mid lane, Oogie, he's all by himself here. Now he does have Polywog in the area, but he's going to use his first Shrunken Head there. And Sheepstick a little bit recklessly as he's not able to be supported by his team, but still has the Restoration Stone available. Actually, no, he used it immediately. Has the Shrunken Head available now to him. But Master of Arms, we were kind of talking about him a few minutes ago. I was thinking possibly a Staff of the Master. He could look to maybe upgrade either the Polywog or the Chipper. He's gone for a post haste. What are your thoughts on the post haste from the Master?
Post haste, I don't. I mean, it's okay. Obviously, it gives you the ability to join team fights with the creeps, and it just gives you a bit of extra movement speed. I would have liked to have seen him keep the Striders and go for something else. Perhaps, as you say, you know, going into that Staff of the Master, which he would probably be close to by now, if he didn't build the post haste. Another good thing about it as well is if you want to kind of port to the sidelines and play a bit aggressively, you can push the lanes out with your Goo, as you say. So that gives him a bit more lane pushing potential. But overall, I think it would have been slightly more preferable, in my perspective, to go for, you know, Staff, as you say, or something just a bit more team orientated to give them a bit more benefit to the team fights.
Yeah, I think this post haste, if that's the game plan, to just kind of be split pushing and porting around, can be useful, but at the same time, I think a bigger item could be a little bit more beneficial. We're gonna have a jump here from the Oogie and the Polywog. They're locked on the Midas. He does have a buyback. He's currently sitting on 3,000 gold. But the Polywog's chunking in some damage here to the base tower. Going to get this one below half-life. Soul's Bulwark there assisting for a little bit of damage, but will Backdoor Protocol force the issue here is the question. They have used the first Primal Surge here from Oogie. Actually, well, he has the Restoration Stone still on cooldown, but we're going to see Shorkan go ahead and use that buyback there, so going to prevent a further push there. Do you think it was necessary for him to use the buyback right away there?
I'm going to say no. I don't think he really had to. I think somebody obviously called it in the team chat and was like, okay, let's buy back and, you know, try and defend. But
Dead, we're going to get caught here by the Staccato Stun. Portal Key initiation from the Rhapsody, and the Shorkan Head was used here, but not going to give him the safety net to escape that. As Sanders gets that first kill, he ports into the top lane onto Master of Arms with a brand new Shrunken Head. Don't think we mentioned that one, but he will get the kill there onto Moas. He did use his Master's Call, but I have to imagine that Nullfire Blade coming in key there to kind of purge that away and assist him for that kill. So 2 kills go in the way of Sandwraith, and he is now over 400 GPM as they will attempt their second Conqueror here of the game.
Yeah, I think so, and I think one of the good things about going for an Nullfire Blade level 3 and a Shrunken Head, and even the high profound extra attack speed, is it gives you so much potential to go for solo pickoffs, because you have the ability to use a Shrunken Head to teleport out. You can kill heroes that require obviously lots of mana, like the Master of Arms, like the Deadwoods, like the Polywog Priest, relatively easily, although Deadwood has a Shrunken Head. But, you know, the Polywog and Master of Arms especially, they will die quite quickly to Sandwraith ulti. And yeah, Shrunken Head now is definitely going to be huge for them because it means that he can get in there and not die, you know, not die too easily, especially to the Oogie damage that comes out.
So, BKB, if I told you that Big Ego Crew is leading by 1,500 gold, does that surprise you given the state of how farmed Oogie is?
Not really, because I think Polywog is still suffering. So because Polywog Priest is at 230 GPM, that's pretty much where he's been for the basis of the entire game. I think it kind of makes me feel that that's one of the reasons why Hellborn are slightly ahead. Because if you compare the Polywog Priest, who is obviously the mid laner against the Alonia at 440, and then Poly 200 GPM behind that. So yeah, Deadpool's also dropped. He's now down to 300, whereas he was a bit higher than that earlier on. Oogie still sat at 630, so he is obviously leading the way. I think, yeah, just going back to my point, I am actually not surprised that Hellborn are ahead at the moment, and I think they will continue to get further and further ahead in terms of the GPM.
So something we didn't talk about here is I think this one is kind of newer. The staff pickup on Alonia, he staff upgrades the Sand Wraith, and you know what, BKB, this is getting a little spicy now, as you know what that means. That's a fear on the Sand Wraith Mirage. That's going to be possibly a nice tool for them to kind of lock down this Oogie's Shrunken Head uses in these upcoming team fights. Will Sandwraith, you know what, I'm going to get the answer to my own question as he picks up a Sustainer. Was going to hint at possibly a Restoration Stone pickup. That's going to be a nice timing. If they're able to get that timing window to come online, Sandwraith with the 2 ultimates both fearing, that's going to be a really nice tool for them to kind of deal with this Oogie. Does that mean, you know, moving forward, that Backdoor Protocol's on the timer now, as Sandwraith's starting to get into that later game stage where he's starting to get more scary?
Yeah, definitely. I think the later this goes, I'd probably give a slight benefit to Sandwraith because he has that fear ultimate, as you say. And if he gets a Restoration Stone, which gives him a double Shrunken Head, you know, double Illusion, double ultimate, and obviously double Hypercran, he will get such a massive amount of damage come into that, and he'll be able to pick off at least 2 or 3 heroes very, very quickly. When it comes to Oogie, yes, Oogie has a Shrunken Head, he does have a Frostfield plate as well, but I think he will die at some stage, definitely, just based on the fact that Hellborn are now starting to really get their core items, and they're starting to kind of get themselves back into the game.
Okay. So another big one here is Midas saving 4,500 gold. There is possibility for a sheepstick there. What about possibly even staff upgrading the Cthulhu Fawn? Do you think that's something that they necessarily need this game, or do you think they would rather invest into something like a sheep with Alonia going for the staff upgrade and not going for the sheep this game?
I think I'd rather see a sheepstick, if I'm honest. I think I'd like to see a sheepstick with 2 different staff and master.
Barrage is used here. He ports it onto the Oogie. Now, will they be able to lock him down? Yes, they will. He can knock it off his Primal Surge Orchid Shrunken there. And that means the Savage 6-streak comes to an end. Chipper will fall as well as Deadwood uses the portal key, or excuse me, the Shrunken Head, not the portal key, to port on out to safety. But that is huge coming in from Big Ego Crew. And Midas, he right-clicks the Sheepstick. He spends all his gold there. That's a big item in the bank now for Big Ego Crew being delivered in the next couple of seconds here. But there is a buyback on the Oogie. He's going to use it. Chunking at his popped here by Polywog Priest. The team fight is underway as the wards are down. Knocking a ward trap. There's going to be a tablet there onto the Sandwraith as Master of Arms does fall. And Cthulhu Fawn, he's leading the front lines here. Sandwraith is going to retreat, at least for now, as Oogie. He is going to get the 1 kill here onto Midas with that Primal Surge being activated, not even needing the Sheepstick there, as well, actually he might have used it as he does pop the Restoration Stone, I believe, so he did use his first wave of spells there, has the second wave ready to go if need be. But I think big picture here, if you're Big Ego Crew, you are very happy with getting the first buyback out of Oogie and only trading your Midas for that one, as they did also get themselves the kill there onto the Master of Arms.
Yeah, really good fight from Hellborn. As you say, getting the early buyback onto Oogie is massive because now Oogie has to play a bit more carefully. I think Sandwraith, he's now at 500 GPM pretty much, so he's going to be close to his Restoration Stone. As we see, 4,400 gold saved up. I think as soon as they get the Restoration Stone, if I'm honest, I don't know what Legion can really do to handle that, because you look at the surrounding cast around the Oogie with the chip of the Polywog, they're going to melt extremely quickly. Deadwood is going to survive for a bit longer because he has the shrunken head, but the Master of Arms is also going to die. So yeah, it's going to be hard for Legion. It's going to be hard, but I think they can win this game. It's just Sandwraith now is looking so strong. And I think
Yeah, it's
after
gonna come down to those sheepstick jumps from Legion if they're able to get the right targets here. But we have a Storm Spear picked up on the Deadwood, and you know the big thing for me there is the idea is great behind that, but he's gonna jump in here on the Sandwraith. He pops the Shrunken. Now Rhapsody is in the area to kind of prevent any follow-up there. They're looking to kind of turn this one around. Here comes the Fear from Sandwraith as he ports into the Mirage. Storm Spear going to be used on himself as the Midas combo going to miss there. He gets sheeped up by Midas as Deadwood will end up falling here. He will be the first victim. Meanwhile, Oogie does chase down Rhapsody in the background. Sandwraith, he's in the front lines here with the Shrunken. Now it's going to be wearing off very soon here. The Restoration Stone already is. There's a sheepstick on the Sandwraith. He's getting locked down in the War Trap. Will he end up falling as Oogie does fall first and Chipper does fall? Sandwraith, he's going to be able to not hold his ground actually as his onslaught streak does fall, and it is going to be Big Ego Crew taking a genocide here as both carries fall, but no buybacks BKB in this fight as well. This was a great fight coming in from Big Ego Crew despite losing their Sandwraith as 3 players do survive.
Yeah, so we kind of see what I sort of expected. Sandwraith kind of picking off that surrounding cast, and then Oogie unfortunately left alone. He's so easily kited, you know, Alonia has most taste, Portal Key, Midas difficult to catch, so she leaves it down. So yeah, very good team fight from Hellborn, and they are now 14k ahead.
Wait, did Midas just die to the creeps in the top lane? I missed that. That was
no
no
idea.
There was nobody alive here. That was that a DC or something? That looks strange. We have Alodia currently pushing the bottom lane as Cthulhuphon is trying to counter push the top lane, but Deadwood is now respawning. Absolute Zero going to be used to kind of maybe disable the portal keys there. Shunken are going to be used. He does get the range racks, but not going to get the melee racks as he's forced to fall back there. Did you catch what happened?
I missed it. Completely missed it.
That was not what I was expecting. But you know what? He's got a buyback if the worst case scenario does end up happening. Cthulhuphon picks up another sheepstick. They're going to have double sheepstick here on the supporting cast here. And you kind of hit the nail on the head, I think, with how much we've talked about Oogie's supporting cast. Nobody really above the 280 GPM mark there. So very limited items outside of the Shrunken Heads and some portal keys there. But we have the big tier of items coming in now from Big Ego with the sheepsticks on the supporting casts. We have the Barrier Idol as well there on the Cthulhuphon, which he's had for most of this game. But Alonia sitting on 5,000 gold. Do you think now he's going to look to go into another sheepstick for the team, or will this be something else that he could possibly look to invest into instead of the sheepstick? Well, I guess I'll get the answer to my question there. So, secondary question, BKB, is a third sheepstick? No, he's gonna sell it and pick up the Shrunken. So that was gonna be my question: is do they need a third sheepstick?
I was literally gonna say I would like him to go for Shrunken Head. So yeah, glad to see that, to be honest, because I think with the lockdown they have at the moment, I don't really think he needs another sheepstick.
Yeah.
So I imagine he's probably said, okay guys, I'm good to play sheepstick, and Midas has been like, no, just get a Shrunken Head, and he's like, okay, I'll go for the BKB instead, which will give him a lot more survivability. It means that Oogie can't really kill him unless he gets a really quick sheepstick off. So yeah, Shrunken Head could pick up, and there's always room later on as well because he's farming so quickly. He can get sheepstick in about 10 minutes if he needs to. So I don't think it's bad for him to go for defensive item at this stage.
No, I agree with you. I think the Shrunken's great, especially against the Oogie kind of being his biggest threat, I think, right now. We could see, a follow-up item like the Restoration Stone even as a possible item if he's feeling he needs that extra Shrunken or extra ultimate with the staff buff there to kind of control those fights. But yeah, the fact that they already have 2 sheepsticks, don't think they need to really overkill with the lockdown. Just make sure that they survive on their heroes as Alodia does deal quite a bit of damage the longer she's able to sit in that fight. So we see Backdoor Protocol kind of hanging around their Congo here. They're thinking about taking a fight. Veiled Rock Cthulhu Font, he's going to run into the team here. He's going to get Sheepstick and Willowmaker right away. Here comes the transmute from Midas. Projected Melody from Rhapsody there. Going to get canceled rather quickly, but Polywog Priest taking a lot of damage there in the background. He's going to fall as well as the Deadwood too. A lot of this AoE damage as Cthulhu Font. He's holding his ground. He's getting Dreamcatcher himself. He will fall over to the Master of Arms, but Oogie does fall. He ends up actually dying to the Condor as Midas is going to fall as well. The fight continuing here as a buyback happens from Shorkan on the Midas. He's possibly looking to run and rejoin this fight, but as we can see, only Master of Arms alive, and Big Ego Crew, they did lose their Sandwraith as well, so both carries do fall as Oogie and Sandwraith no doubt battling it out in that Pong pit. But I think it's safe to say Big Ego Crew winning this fight overall, despite the buyback being used there as Alonia and Rhapsody initially surviving.
Yeah, I just want to say I don't know what it is about me and you casting together, but we always seem to get the 60-minute games. This is going to be... It's probably going to be another long one, which is fine. I quite enjoy it, so I don't mind too much. I'm sure you
Yeah, and
the
again,
same.
just to reiterate, if Big Ego Crew closes this game out here, as they've kind of built themselves a very large lead now, very deep into the game, this will force the third and final game here, as this is best of 3 still. So they're doing everything in their power to keep this series alive, and they're going to net themselves the second Rax in the game here, as the melee Rax falls in the bottom lane to the creeps. The only one remaining here is this mid lane. No buyback on the Oogie. He did buy out that Pegasus boots, so we're going to see Shrunken Head used here by Alonia. They want to do as much damage to this Rax as possible, but here comes the initiation from Deadwood. Willowmaker comes in onto the Midas. He's going to get his Elemental Warp off. Will he be able to make the escape is the question. The slows are coming in from Alonia as Midas will portal key into the trees here. Has a Sheepstick ready to go. They're thinking about possibly re-engaging, but with Oogie respawning now, I think it's safe to say they're going to need all 5 to have a fighting, have the fighting power necessary to take the next team fight.
Yeah, 2 Rax is massive. As we say, Oogie's only got 1 buyback, so Sandwraith has 2, which means that even if Legion do win a team fight, I think they're still going to struggle to close out the game because Sandwraith has pulled enough buyback gold and he does have 2 available. I mean, I know you ask me this question quite often, but I'm going to pose a question to you. I mean, how do you see Legion getting back into it now?
I think it just kind of comes down to they need to somehow pick off Big Ego Crew if they split up on the map, get those Veiled Rods going, use those Sheep Sticks, and you know, if that doesn't work, I think they're just kind of too far behind at this point. It is the 25,000 gold lead, as well as that big experience lead for Big Ego Crew. They got a Grimoire of Power now on the Alonia. She's got the cooldown reduction, as well as that plus 30% spell boost when she activates it for the upcoming team fights. And you pointed out Sandwraith has not only got both his buybacks, but he's got 5,000 gold in the bank where he can buy his next tier of item to kind of come back up to the level of Oogie here, as he's kind of item capped, more or less with some, you know, small items there, but definitely wanting that buyback, I think, before swapping out either the portal key or even the boots, as he probably wants to keep the boots, so it would probably be the portal key there for something bigger. But bot lane, we have a lot of heroes in the area here. Shrunken Head is pop here from the Oogie Chips that comes out onto the Midas. There's the protective melody though from Mekx with the Rhapsody, as he has the Shrunken. That is not going to be stopped. Absolute Zero going to stun them up here as Puppetsoui does get that 1 kill. There's the second kill happening from Dutch onto both the Deadwood and the Shipper. Oogie is going to fall, and I think that might do it, BKB. No buybacks on the Oogie. We see the Concebo come out here at the 57-minute mark, and that means we're going to a third and final game coming up to follow this game too. So final thoughts, BKB, on game number 2.
Yeah, a good game. Another long one. I did enjoy it personally. I think it was very close up until the kind of mid-game stage where Hellborn got loads of pickoffs with the Sandwraith Ultimate and the Alonia combination. So yeah, well played to them. I think Legion did have a good draft, but Polywog suffered hugely. Didn't get a Shrunken Head until it was too late. Oogie was kited and countered by the Sandwraith Fear, and that's pretty much what it came down to. Overall, good team play from Big Ego Crew, improving from their game number 1, and let's see who takes it in game number 3.
Yeah, so great response here in game number 2. Big Ego Crew going to force that third game coming up shortly. We'll see if they can carry that momentum over into game number 3. But we're going to go on a short break here, as I'm sure you and myself maybe need a little break, but also the players as we've had back-to-back more or less 1 hour games. But we're going to get that next lobby going for you guys as game number 3 coming up around the corner. So hang tight as we're going to go on a short break here. Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. We are here once again with our first round match between Big Ego Crew here on the Legion side, taking on Backdoor Protocol here on the Hellborn side. This is again game number 3, so this is the final game of the series. We're all tied up here at 1 game apiece. I'm once again what you got, rejoined here by BKBnchill. So BKB, we just came off a very long game number 2. Big Ego Crew took that one at more or less the 1 hour mark, riding a little bit of momentum here. Do you think that'll carry over into game number 3?
Good question. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they are definitely a momentum-based team, so I'd be inclined to say yes. However, we have seen the potential from Backdoor Protocol, and we could easily see them come back, especially with how good their performance was in game 1. So I think it'll be
Okay.
another even game. I don't think it'll be an hour long. Well, hopefully not at least, because otherwise we'll be here casting until about 2 a.m. Or I will in I will in the UK. Um, but no, it should be a good one. It should be hopefully entertaining like the first two, and let's see who takes it.
So before we go over the picks and bans here, we actually had a roster switch up here as that series or the series is going quite long here. I believe Shorkan had to leave here for the third game, so we have a replacement here with Sokka. So they do end up switching up their draft here without Shorkan being here. Puppetsoui taking over the reins here. So we'll see if that kind of changes up kind of their picking style perhaps here in game number 3. But we'll go over the bans here as they are complete. We have Fade, Ophelia, and Cthulhu Font now going to be banned out from Big Ego Crew. Monarch, Aluna, and Moira going to be banned out here from the side of Backdoor Protocol. So anything really sticking out to you there in those bans?
The only one that really sticks out to me is probably that Cthulhu Font, because Cthulhu Font was available in games 1 and 2. So Puppetsoui decided not wanting to deal with it or not wanting to have it in their draft, which makes a lot of sense because if you ban the Cthulhu Font, you've then got the availability of Pharaoh. So we could see that coming out onto Vulka's hero. Chipper and Glacius with the first 2 picks. Sorry, I know you like to cut into the picks, but I just want to mention with regards to the Glacius pick, I'm a little bit surprised, if I'm honest, because I don't think it's really strong enough to be first pick. I'm not sure if you would agree with me. I don't know if Glacius has been buffed recently or whether it's just been played a lot in the meta, but it seems like Glacius is the first pick compared to a Chipper. I don't really see much viability with it.
Okay. If you want me to butt in there,
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I really like Glacius. I think he's a very strong support right now. I think his early levels of the Ice Imprisonment and Tundra Blast deal incredible amounts of damage and lockdown uh, in the laning phase. So specifically, I really like Glacius early on. Um, and I think we'll see it in the main support role here. At least that's what I'm expecting for Mekx. Now, again, it's not that traditional Big Ego Crew style support hero. So already with just one pick, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a drafting switch up here, as we do have again Puppetsoui drafting for Big Ego Crew. Going to be interested to see how he kind of evolves here from the Glacius pick, but. Enough of the Glacius. We'll talk about the other 2 picks. Chipper, very, very common pickup. We saw it last game. Didn't really see it have a whole lot of big impact outside of perhaps the stacking I think that he was doing for the Oogie, getting him that really big farm. So they did utilize the stack presence from the Rockets, but they throw a Geomancer on top. They're already looking to build a really aggressive early game, I think, with the Geomancer pickup. We'll see if they pair any kind of ganking presence with the Geomancer on top of that. But we have the Rally and the Pebbles, and you know what those look like? Pretty comfortable Big Ego Crew style heroes. Looks like we're going to be seeing Pebbles here, most likely for Puppetsoul, as that will, I think, be their mid lane option. So they're going to reveal that pick quite early into the draft. But with that being said, they have the banning wave coming up next, so they can kind of address the heroes they don't want to face with the pebbles moving forward. But the rally pick, that's usually one we see for either Vulka or Shorkan. Shorkan not being here, we might get to see that in more of a position 3 role, still available in the position 2 slot. But I'm interested to see your thoughts as well on the rally and the pebbles picks following up the glaciers.
I like them. I think it gives them a lot of initiation, but I think revealing those heroes quite early sort of gives Hellborn an idea of how they're going to draft and how they're going to
Hmm.
fit those heroes together. So Hellborn could perhaps counter with a really tanky hero, something that could survive the combination from those heroes. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I mean, maybe. Well, I don't know. What heroes do you think would have the advantage against a
I
Pebbles and a
think a
Rally?
Deadwood. They
Deadwood,
ran the
yeah.
Deadwood in game number 2, and he had a great early game. And I think against heroes like Pebbles and Rally, just the lockdown from the root alone causes a lot of problems for Rally. But the Willowmaker against the Pebbles makes him more or less not very tanky, and Rally always a threat to be solo killed by the Deadwood. So
Hmm.
we saw a great performance from Deadwood in the early stages of game 2. I think it would be a really aggressive pairing with the Geomancer. Now, granted, that's a lot of skill shots if they do lane together, but I think a solid hero choice nonetheless, as they don't choose to get rid of that one. We'll go ahead and go over the bans really quickly here. As we have Sir Bensington, Gemini, and the Madman banned away from Snark, a backdoor protocol. That's going to be all those possible tri-lane or carry style of pickups coming out. And then we have Scrap, Bramble, and Oogie. So again, we have the Scrap and Bramble bans that we saw, I think, in one of the earlier games. Those are targeted most likely at 0 for that mid lane. Again, he likes those unconventional style of heroes. You talked about he likes the lockdown style of heroes. So they get rid of a couple of those. And then they throw in the Oogie ban there. Very difficult one that they had to deal with in the last game. So a lot of these bans, again, targeting either players or heroes that they've already recently seen in the series. But prisoner and electrician pickups. I don't know if you want to talk a bit about those bans as well, but you can go ahead and discuss as you wish.
Yeah, so speaking about the electrician first, I think going back to the point that you made about the rally and the pebbles, I think electrician is almost a fantastic counter against those because he can survive. I would probably say he can survive both of those combos, especially if he has enough HP stats, if he has the right items and the right levels. So it will, there is definitely factor dependent. But overall, I do like the electrician pick in terms of that survivability, in terms of its ability to go for those team-based items and to help his team survive those combinations as well. Um, I like the prisoner pick because one, we've just seen a Kronos. So if we see Kronos ultimate, let's say Geomancer and Chipper, prisoner can hook him away. So in that sense, it's quite valid. But obviously that was picked before Kronos, so there's no point in me talking about it too much. But I like Prisoner because he has a lot of high base damage and he's very good against low armor heroes such as the Pebbles. He's good against the Rally because if Rally jumps in, he can then lock him down with the Shackle, so that can prevent him from casting his ulti. And yeah, no, it's looking like a very good draft from Hellborn, and I think it's looking like it's slightly more in their favor so far. The problem I
Okay.
had with the problem I have with Legion is even though they pick very good heroes, and I know you like Glacius, I'm a big fan of Pebbles. I like Rally as well. The only issue is they gave that away so early on that Hellborn have now countered it with the Prisoner and the Electrician. So yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be fun to see some new heroes, and I'm looking forward to seeing particularly what Hellborn can do with those.
Yeah, so they're going to finish it off here with a Dampier on the side of Hellborn, following up the Electrician and Prisoner picks. And it looks like, at least the way that the picks are shaping up, we'll see a position 3 Prisoner. And I think that will be a mid lane Electrician, as we do see 0 on that one. So position 3 Prisoner, they're going to give him some farm here. But that hook and the shackle are going to be pretty strong in the early game, as you were kind of pointing out, going up against those picks countering the rally and the pebbles specifically. Throw the shackled on top of the Chronos. If he's not able to kill that, that will prevent his time leap. So Prisoner does have a pretty nice niche for this game, I will say. Now the final picks were the Bomb and the Chronos from Legion. The Bombardier actually going to go to Mekx, so going to be played in more of a supportive role. And they do have a lot of damage output, I will say, on the supports, being both the Bomb and the Glacius, to supplement that Chronosphere. A lot of damage from just the backline alone. and then you throw the rally and the pebbles on top of that to potentially burst down those tankier targets. But pretty solid drafts, I think, from both sides. What do you think about the Dampier pick, as that was the final one there in the match to kind of combat this very aggressive big ego crew lineup?
Yeah, the Dampier pick, I'm not too sure about. I mean, I'm trying to think in terms of why they were planning it around the draft they had already, as to how it is going to fit in. I mean, you look at Dampier as a hero, very good at creating solo pickoffs, not the best in team fights until he has a shrunken head, because if you jump in with the portal key and let's say a Dawnbringer, you go in, you combo someone, and then you usually get turned on. So
Right.
he's going to find it quite hard, especially against the Kronos, because you've got the Chronosphere. You've got obviously the Bombardier ulti as well. So I think he wants to play quite safe until he picks up the Shrunken Head. If I'm honest, I don't think it really competes against the Kronos late game. So I think if it was to go into late game, Legion would definitely have a massive advantage.
Yeah,
So
I
I think
agree with you.
the Dampier pick is a bit surprising, and I think I would have liked to see something a bit tankier, and two, something that scales a bit better as well, as opposed to having that magic burst, lockdown that they wanted to go for.
Yeah, and for me, they've already seen the Kronos pick. They had two melee cores kind of picked up already. We see the Electrician and Prisoner being played in position 2 and 3. They throw another melee core on top of that on position 1, and that's, for me at least specifically, that's just going to really further mean that they're going to really have to position appropriately in those team fights going up against the Kronos, as they have 3 out of 5 heroes, all of the cores being melee oriented.
Yeah, the only way I can see it being quite viable is if they put a lot of pressure onto Legion early game, and even in the mid game stages where Kronos doesn't have enough farm, or if his ultimate's on cooldown, they can obviously gank with the Dampier. So in terms of ganking presence, it does offer more.
Engagement in the middle lane, by the way, we had the spells being used on the Electrician. Grip came out in response as Chipper made his way over, as we had that initial dual mid matchup from the Legion side. Now Chipper kind of making that a 2v2 lane, which this will mean Dampier and Rally are in a 1 versus 1 here up in the top lane from that rotation being forced out. Then we have Geomancer and Prisoner, as we kind of expected from the picks, going up against that Kronos and Bombardier. So what do you think about the all 3 lanes here as they kind of shaped up now?
Yeah, so top lane Dampier against Rally, I'd have to give that favour to Dampier, because I think once he gets a level in his lifesteal, I think Rally is going to have no opportunity to really kill him. I think Dampier will farm quite freely because his base damage is quite good. Rally, to be fair, won't have a bad time up here at all, because Dampier doesn't have enough burst until he's in the higher levels. So yeah, slight advantage to Dampier. Mid lane, you've got, as you say, Pebbles and Glacius against Electrician and Chipper. I think Chipper and Electrician should be absolutely fine, because Electrician is not going to die with his electric shield and the focus buffer on top.
Speaking of Chipper, he's going to get his grip cancelled here by the Ice Imprisonment, and he might actually fall here. Final one, as Bombardier was rotating over. Mekx not even needed for that kill. So once again, BKB, I was actually kind of biting my tongue as you said, Electrician's not going to die. I saw that Chipper was rotating away, and the possibility of that actually happening was coming into play. But that will be our bloodlust kill here, 2.5 minutes in. And again, Bombardier did step into that lane for some assistance, but ultimately he was not needed for that kill. Now we see a counter coming in as Pebbles. He does have the health pot in the bottle, full charge, ready to go, so he will be able to heal himself back up, but some counter pressure coming in there nonetheless from the Hellborn side.
I'm so surprised Chipper rotated so early, because like, yes, you want to go for the rune, but at the same time, Electrician, with him being out of position, like, you don't want to let him die, because now we've obviously seen the Bloodlust kill, we've got boots on Glacius, which means that Glacius is going to be a bit more annoying.
There's a stun coming in from Pebbles. He's trying to line the toss back. It looks like he's not going to go for it here, holding that toss, at least for now. Perhaps trying to bait out that shield to be used there. Health pots are going to be used on both sides, as Glacius is out of mana. He actually doesn't go for the boots there. He goes for the Grave Locket, it looks like, so he's going to go for that greedier route, but going to have that nonetheless. Kronos in the bottom lane, he's got a sticky bomb on him. He's going to leap in onto the Prisoner. Is this going to be enough damage for a kill as the Bombardment comes out? Who's going to land here onto the Bombardier? Who's going to end up falling first? Earth Grasp is applied, and that will mean Bombardier does fall. Health pot being used here by Prisoner, or actually no, it was the mana battery. He still has the health pot ready to go. He's going to use it here as the dig stun will stun him up, and that's going to be just enough distance for Prisoner to heal himself up to safety. So they get the kill there first, as Legion initially was the ones to start that fight off, but not having the damage to bring down Prisoner.
Yeah, it's definitely a big clutch usage of the mana battery as well. As we talked about in the second game, I asked you how valid was it, and you said it was, it was pretty good. It seems like we're seeing it now, and it's, as I say, it's quite nice to kind of see how Hon is almost being brought back to how it was many years ago when we had ice
In
in
the
that
mid
mana
lane
battery.
here. There's the toss from Pebbles. Final auto attacks necessary. The bottle slips coming in with that electric shield, and Electrician will just be tanky enough as we have Invis Chipper coming in from the side here. Now the spells are coming back up from Pebbles, only having mana for one of them, but Glacier's going to use the health pot there, so he will be just fine. And nobody going to die here in the mid lane.
Yeah, so speaking of, so I talked earlier about Dampier against Rally. Dampier does have his
Dead
level
even.
6 first. Dead even,
Yep.
yeah. So in terms of the item builds, we see Toxin Claw and Rally, and we see Dampier with a Chalice. So I'm presuming he'll go straight into the Ghost Marches into Lightbrand, I presume. Is that still quite common in terms of how you build Dampier, and is Portal Key something that you think we're going to see quite early on?
I do think he's gonna go for those kind of items. Now I'm gonna pose the question to you: Ghost Marchers versus Steam Boots here on Dampier. What do you think he should go for? Is one necessarily better than the other? And yeah, I'll leave it at that. What do you think we'll see from him? Which one?
So in terms of his build up and seeing the Punch Dagger, Ghost Marches definitely seems more logical.
Yeah.
I would personally like to have seen Steam Boots because we think of all the combination spells from Legion. He wants to stay alive because if Dampier dies, then that's pretty much the main core out of the fight. So yeah, I'm quite surprised he didn't go for Steam Boots actually. I think he's obviously prioritizing a bit more base damage and mobility, which is fine. Mobility is always good on the carry hero. It's just with Legion, once they get their PKs and once they hit their timing, he is going to find it hard to survive, and that's the only issue I have. But yeah, if he puts some
Bottom
pressure
lane, I just saw there's a fight going on. Shackle is applied. Here's the ball and chain coming in from Prisoner, not going to connect, but Prisoner is going to get the safety here. Shipper ports in. He's going to maybe try to snipe him out with the rockets here. Chrono's going to have to avoid those. Time Leap comes in with the health pot, and he gets the safety. So no kills happening once again down here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Pebbles is 300 GBM, so he's doing pretty well himself, but Electrician, despite dying to the Bloodlust, is pretty much just below. So Electrician is not doing too badly at all. I'm just looking at his skill build, so he's got 3 levels in Electric Shield, makes a lot of sense. I would like to see him
Played over
max
the
up.
bottom rune here. Looks like regen rune was picked up by Mekx on that bomb, but it's going to get cancelled immediately. Sticky bomb. Not going to be followed up here as the focus buffer going to mitigate the majority of that damage there.
Yeah, I was going to say I would like to see Electrician maxes E-spell just for a bit more mana burn, which I think is very useful against heroes that obviously have a lot of jump potential. In terms of Electrician, I know Zero is quite a big fan of buying Soul Trap, so he could be building into a Dreamcatcher possibly.
Okay.
Do you think Dreamcatcher is quite common nowadays, or is it one of those items where people are like, okay, like it's too expensive, I'm not going to buy it because I think there's better items?
Oh, top lane, we actually had a kill coming in from Dampier. I didn't expect that one. I don't know if you caught that one, but it looks like just simply a solo kill.
Missed it.
Okay. So, good kill there from Dampier up in the top lane. So we see a bunch of rotations happening here. Will they get the catch onto Dampier, though, is the question. So this is a lot of time invested by 3 heroes to try to set up a return kill. So we see Electrician making his way over up here. Possibly kind of expecting this one happening. But as we can see, nothing going to come out of it.
Yeah, one hero I haven't touched upon is Prisoner. Prisoner, I mean, what do you think about the hero? Do you like the hero?
I think in this game specifically, he has some great utility that he offers with the Shackle and the Prison Break for team fights. And I always find it interesting to kind of put farm on him because, speaking of him, we're going to have a Prison Break coming out. Here comes the Chronosphere in response. The TPs are coming in. Will they have the damage to bring down Chronos? Prisoner's going to get stunned up by the Pebbles. There's the Glaciers as well on top. And now J-Mancer has the dig on cooldown for 4 more seconds. This is going to be plenty of time for Big Ego Crew to get that second kill. As a great counter coming in, following up that Prison Break initiation. from our Hellborn side. So 2 kills going the way there of Big Ego Crew in exchange for 0.
Yeah, I don't really know what they were expecting because if you're going to initiate that close to the tower, you've got a Chronosphere and then you've got TPs that are going to come in because obviously it's a tournament-based game. So yeah, a bit over aggressive from Prisoner, and I don't see how they're going to kill Kronos with their combination. But yeah, unfortunate play from them.
So I was going to ask you the question, is actually we have a hook here on the Kronos, but it looks like he'll be just fine. He gets the time leap to safety. What items do you think we'll see on Prisoner this game? Will we see an early portal key? Will we see him bulk up and kind of look to deal more right-click style of damage? Or, in my opinion, I think Staff is a great item on Prisoner. I think it kind of makes him even a better hero, as you're able to throw the shackle with the prison break there. Do you think we'll see a Staff, or do you think we'll see something else?
Yeah, so I think we're going to see Steam Boost into PK, into Staff the Master.
Okay. G-Mans are getting caught here. Port comes in from Bombardier. It's going to be a really easy kill for them with that dig stun being down. A little surprised that he actually uses the dig stun there, but mid lane we have a Stalagmite stun into a Compel from Rally following up that Chuck. No Seismic Slam even needed. They just simply lock him down. He couldn't get off his electric shield, which arguably makes him that tanky presence. So great lockdown there from our Legion side. There's the poor man's portal key from Pebbles chucking in Rally, and he's going to line up the Seismic Slam following up that Compel, and that will be another kill going the way of Big Ego Crew as they are now off to a 6-2 hero kill lead, and they jump out to a 1,500 gold lead on top of that 600 experience lead that they built themselves here at roughly the 10-minute mark. But Dampier still doing very well here. 450 gold per minute. He is the top farmer of the game. So is this kill lead worrisome for Backdoor Protocol, or do you think they're just fine here as Dampier's doing really well?
I would say, yeah, I think it's a little bit worrisome because with their drafts, I think they do want to try and take things to Legion in the early game.
Prisoner's in some trouble here. Sorry to cut you off. That's going to be a pretty easy kill as Glacius does get the Icy Prisoner off. They secured that kill. Meanwhile, middle lane, Pebbles, he's going to go down to the Geomancer and Electrician. No Crystal Field actually needed, so I didn't catch that one, but I think Pebbles perhaps maybe not on full life there.
Yeah, so he was pretty low, he got stuck.
Here's a grip into electric, or Crystal Field, sorry. Not electric field, that's engineer. But will the Rockets snipe out Rally? They need one more to connect. That one's going to be avoided. G-Man's comes in with the dig stun. And there's the final rocket from downtown as Chipper does snipe him out. G-Mans are most likely going to fall here. He does not have enough mana for a dig, even with this mana battery being used. So Kronos probably just going to walk him down here. Glacius, I think he wants to give the kill over to Kronos, and for good reason. So Kronos will get that one here.
Yeah, seeing some good old Call of Duty plays from Chipper there. Not sniping out from long range.
Yep.
Yeah, as you say, you know, Kronos, because he is pretty much the key to Legion winning this game. I think as many kills that they can get on him is really going to help them out, especially because his GPM is definitely suffering. He's only at 320.
Sticky bomb, here we go. Can Kronos find the Dampier? He is, oh my god, Dampier just barely going to avoid with the portal key there, the jump coming out. The lane wards from both sides, so they spotted out Kronos actually in the area, and even with the ward of sight there from Mekx on the Bombardier, they weren't able to get that jump lined up entirely, so the sphere going to be wasted unfortunately, but good attempt nonetheless, as they did try to set that one up.
I can just imagine the scenes in Twitch chat right now. If the camera caught that missed Chronosphere, probably become crazy, especially because it is Dutch making the play. But yeah, unfortunate. It was unlucky. Good attempt, but Dampier with the PK now. He's going to be looking to probably get involved fairly soon, I suspect, as soon as he has his right brand. And that's one of the things I kind of go back to when I made the point about, you know, when it goes to Legion, sorry, Hellborn's draft, they do want to try and put some pressure onto the Kronos particularly, and even the Pebbles as much as possible. So PK will obviously enable Dampier to get involved with that too. And it means that they can perhaps take a really good edge into the closing of the early game, which is where we're at now, into the mid-game stage, where you don't want to give Kronos any space and you want to take out obviously as many calls as you possibly can with those heroes they have on Hellborn.
So failed rod on the Dampier here. He's got that portal key picked up as we just mentioned. He's looking to take advantage of that pickup now. There is a lot of players here in the area from Big Ego Crew. If he does go for a jump, he's going to go in for the Kronos here, but he's not going to get the find he was looking for. Kronos is going to get the leap to safety, and that's going to be no kills netted for either side.
Yeah, fortunate skirmish. Not much happening at all, as you say. If we now look at the GPM tab, so it was slightly in favour of Big Ego Crew about 5 minutes ago. It's now pretty much relatively even. It's only about 400 gold swing towards Hellborn. So
Pebbles has his portal key. He's going to jump in here with the double damager. They're going to get the kill here onto Electrician. Now here comes a nice hook for Prisoner. He's lining up the prison break. It's going to pull in all three. He gets the one kill onto Pebbles, and that's going to mean Kronos also falling. Glacius goes down. It's a hat trick coming out for Prisoner, and they're looking for more. Can they find the Bombardier here as there are no more rockets on the chipper? And you know what, BKB? Bomb's gonna get the TP to safety, so a big fight coming in from the side of Backdoor Protocol as 4 players die here in exchange for just that one electrician. So 4 for 1 plus a tower on top of that. And now this lead is heavily in favor here of Backdoor Protocol. They take a almost 4,000 gold lead, 3,500 experience lead on top.
yeah, huge team fight, and I was really impressed with how they executed it. And also, it was just what they needed to do at that time as well, because, you know, when you've got the PK and Dampier, the last thing you want to do is then go back and farm, because obviously the hero fluff is off its kind of, you know, stage of the game now, which is at the 12 to 15 minute point. He can burst heroes very quickly. He can obviously catch the Kronos if he leaps away. So I like the fact they took the initiative and they really saw the opportunity to go and gank Legion, and picking up 4 heroes is exactly what you want. I mean, unfortunate not to get a genocide, but if there's one hero that is going to survive, it's going to be in that position for Bombardier, so they won't really care too much. But yeah, well played to Hellborn.
We have Pebbles looking for another engagement here. He's got the build rod. He's going to pick up this haste rune. And I don't know if he can necessarily kill the Dampier by himself, not having quite enough burst there, but maybe he will look to fall back here as the mid lane currently being addressed here by Backdoor Protocol. Shaman's head just picked up by Prisoner on top of the plated creep, so not the items we were necessarily thinking about as he goes for a hook attempt there in the tower. But this tower, are they going to be able to defend it here from the side of Big Ego Crew? This one's going to fall here as they do glyph it up. They're thinking about maybe engaging. Here comes the TPs as Pebbles is going to get the jump here onto Prisoner. He's going to throw the Prisoner back onto the creep wave. There is a grip coming in from Electrician, but the Seismic Slam takes out Prisoner, and that's a good start here to the team fight. Now Dampier is making his way over. He's got the portal key. He's going to jump in. Will he get the target he's looking for? It doesn't look like it. Kronos going to lock down the chipper here. There's an airstrike coming in onto both the G-Mancer and the chipper as they will secure both those kills. Kronos going to survive on very low life. Dampier thinking about going back in. He's got a portal key coming up in 1 more second. Will he re-engage? He jumps in with the flight and the fear, and he portal keys to safety, taking out that Glacius. So only the Glacius going to fall here. It's almost like the tables have kind of turned now as Big Ego Crew takes a really good fight despite losing that tower there, taking a 3-for-1 team fight.
Yeah, I've got to say that team play from Big Ego Crew was like absolutely insane, especially with how Rally right at the end as Kronos was about to die, he pushed him away, so he compelled him. Kronos was able to escape, and then even before that, you know, Pebble was trucking in. Who was it? It was a Prisoner, wasn't it? Onto the creep wave. Glacius came and got involved. Bombardier stunned him, and then Rally ulted him. So Prisoner was taken out. And if we're taking out a really tanky Prisoner, that's obviously great because, you know, he's there to survive and stay as long as possible in the team fight. So yeah, taking out the Prisoner was a huge part of that. It takes away a lot of their damage as well. And then Dampier, unfortunately, could only get the kill into Glacius because he was, you know, relatively poorly positioned. So yeah, no, props to Legion.
Pebbles is going to jump in here. Now this is again the tanky target. Dampier going to counter with a jump here to make a Pell stun onto the Prisoner, or onto the Pebbles, excuse me, from the Rally. He goes in for the slam, but he's going to cancel it as he's not going to have the distance. And now Electrician is here with the grip. Rally is going to fall as Dampier does get credit for that kill. And will the fight pursue here as G-Mancer is going to line up a dig stun onto the Glacius. Glacius going to fall. It's 2 kills going the way of Backdoor Protocol as the hook will be missed there from Prisoner. And we have a complete fallback coming in from Big Ego Crew as Kronos. Not really looking to take this fight with his Sphere currently still on cooldown for 30 more seconds. But what do you think, BKB, of Kronos going for the Sacrificial Stone here? He goes for a very early game item. not building into his farming item just yet.
Yeah, so it's good in the sense it's obviously very good in team fights, gives him the ability to use power supply, and then it also gives relatively decent stats. I'm just having a check to see if they change anything. So you've got 8, 8, and 8, which isn't too bad. And a reduced death timer on top of that too. The hero I wanted to talk about, so yeah, so just come back to Stampede quickly, because he's farming so quickly and he is going to be picking up his next item relatively soon. What he's going to do is he's going to continue to snowball, and Kronos is going to fall further behind. So, yes, you've got a sacrificial stone, which is good in this team fights, as we just said, but it's not going to help him farm.
Here comes Kronos with a leap. Sphere's going to lock down Dampier. He did use his spells to clean up that creep wave. Pebble's coming in with the toss, and that's going to be enough damage. Though they do bring down the Dampier, and only Gymants are in the area, so Dampier unfortunately just getting a little bit too aggressive there down in the bot lane with not any team support in the area.
Yeah, so what I was going to say as well is because when you go for a sacrificial stone on your position 1 carry, it kind of gives that impression that they want to win this team fight and they want Kronos to stay alive. So if Kronos stays alive and if he can cast his spells and do relatively decent damage, then it's going to keep him in a place where he can go back to farming and start to pick up his
Sticky bomb on the Kronos. Now, do they see the Geomancer? They do! They're going to get the jump there with Pebbles, and they're going to get themselves another kill there. Great lockdown, but in the top lane, we have a hook coming in onto Rally. A couple of the rockets going to be avoided. Here comes a grip from Electrician, and that's going to be too much damage for Rally to handle. Glacial Downpour going to be cancelled immediately by the rockets from Chipper, and that's 2 kills going the way of Backdoor Protocol. So they do get some response kills there, as they did initially take down that tier 1 tower. Now they're going to put some pressure here on the tier 2 tower, and I don't think there's going to be any resistance here. But Pebbles, he's thinking about going, and he's going to line up a combo, but again, minimal damage there. Both the Gnome's Wisdom and the Shaman's pickups on the 2 cores, they're going to make them just a little too tanky against Pebbles.
Yeah, relatively useful as well, picking up the tier 2 tower, because it opens up quite a bit of space. I want to ask you, so when it comes to who I was thinking about, so Glacius. I know you spoke about enjoying Glacius and you like the hero and its impacts and everything.
Yeah.
What's your favourite skill build? Are you one of these people who likes to max out W, which is obviously a longer stun or longer imprisonment? Or do you think it's better to get more levels in the slow, which is he's got 3 in his Q spell, he's got 4 in his W, so he's chosen the option of maxing ice imprisonment. But is that something you would replicate?
I think for this game, I think it's okay to max out ice imprisonment just to have that extra lockdown. If you take a look at the leveling of Tundra Blast, you get 20 damage per levels 3 and 4 in addition, and you're only trading off a little extra move speed, slow, and duration. Whereas the single target lockdown from the ice imprisonment, I think the extra couple of half seconds there can add up, just to because they are very tanky targets here. Now you could argue there's the cleansing shock, stuff like that, but I think against heroes like the Geomancer, the Prisoner, just kind of keeping them in place. Even the Dampier, keeping him from using his flight if possible. I think there's merit to both skill builds. I think the Ice Imprisonment, the extra utility, can definitely, it could also mean Rally being able to get his slam off, following up a freeze. So I think there's good uses for both skill builds.
So do you know who Saka is? Is it Sol?
I don't know actually. It's as far as I'm aware, it's just a player from the TMM scene. I haven't seen him in any competitive games, at least to my knowledge.
Okay.
But back to the sacrificial stone pickup by Kronos. I think this just kind of further enhances, as we're gonna have a dust come out here. They're gonna line up the dig stun here and the crystal field. Kronos is gonna die. Now there are the mass TPs happening here. Pebbles is gonna avoid that hook. Glacius now getting caught by the outnumbering here from the side of Backdoor Protocol. Bombardier going to fall as well, and this is the last thing you want to do if you're Big Ego crew, is kind of throw away kills one by one as Kronos gets initiated on there down in the bot lane. But I was going to talk about how I feel like the sacrificial stone just kind of further enhances the understanding by Big Ego crew. They realize that they have a weaker early game. against this Dampier lineup, but they know that if they can make it out of this stage of the game and get to the later stage, that's where they're going to be able to have their advantages if they can get to that point where Kronos is stronger in terms of damage output. He will outcarry the Dampier, as we kind of talked about, but the struggle for them is just getting to that point, right? He's very lackluster when he doesn't have his ultimate up for the team fights. But we see Backdoor Protocol now really extending their lead. They net themselves another tier 2 tower. They've cleaned up all 3 of the outer towers here at the 23-minute mark, pending that engagement down there in the bot lane, picking up 3 kills. But now, as you pointed out, taking out those towers, opening up the map, going to really further enhance their lead here. And Big Ego Crew kind of finding themselves a hole here, BKB, that they need to kind of dig themselves out of.
Yeah, they're stuck in a hole, and the worst part about it is because Kronos has no farming items, he can't even recover appropriately. So
Yeah.
it's going to be harder and harder even as the game gets longer, which you wouldn't expect normally from a Kronos draft, because you tend to think, okay, guys, we have a Kronos late game, you know, let's try and relax and try and get him as much farm as we possibly can. But because he's so far behind and Dampier is so far ahead, it's like, okay, what are we going to do now? You know, we can't farm, we can't fight. It's a difficult situation to be in for Legion.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. He's trying to do everything he can to get that Thunderclaw finished, as still only has the Alacrity Band piece in his inventory currently. Spell Shards level 2, I believe, just picked up by the Pebbles. I really like the Spell Shards pick up this game. I'm sure you could go into detail more as you're a very seasoned Pebbles player, but I can imagine going up against both the Shamans and a Gnomes, just having that armor, ignoring the magic armor there on the Spell Shard is going to be really
Yeah, but it has to.
We have a jump here. Hold that thought, sorry, because we have Rally getting got on here. Prison Break going to connect and Rally going to fall. No resistance here or no follow-up from the side of the supporting caster, so just simply going to give up that kill.
Yeah, so going back to your Pebbles comments, I'm in 100% agreement with
Okay,
you.
Chrono, sorry again to cut you off. He's thinking about jumping in. He actually doesn't leap in, so Pebbles goes in kind of by himself here. Now the hook's going to be avoided by Pebbles, so nice job of not giving up any kills there. Dixla comes out. There's the chainsaws down from Chipper. 3-man Chronosphere coming in. There's the tablet on a Chipper. Airstrike comes out on top. They're not getting any kills just yet. Actually, they did get the Geomancer kill, but the cores are holding their ground. And now Kronos, is he going to fall here? Dampier jumps in. He's going to bring him down, consume down for another 10 more seconds. But 4 players dead in exchange for that Geomancer, as Rally's still not alive here. But again, another big fight coming in from Backdoor Protocol, as they're now putting some pressure on the tier 3 tower here. So a big engagement here coming in from our Hellborn side.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Legion are just getting further and further behind. It's almost like, okay, guys, we can try and fight. We've got Kronos, we've got a Bombardier. We can try and combination with the spells. But even with that, Kronos is still below 300 GPM, and Snark is above 500. Electrician's 450. So Kronos, he's not really going to kill anyone unless Bombardier really helps him out. Especially now as Kronos Spheres on cooldown, so Hellborn can take a Kongor. They could try and push again or set something up. Yeah, so it's getting hard for Legion, very, very hard.
I would almost like to see, now the idea was good there, they throw the sticky bomb on Kronos. He didn't leap in as, actually they're initiating on the prisoner here, but he's got a barrier rifle. They're not going to be able to bring him down quickly enough, and Rally gets turned on by Dampier being here with the full Grimoire of power, so he's got that spell boost there with the activate, showing it off there with his burst potential, having that level 3 consume already. But I was going to say, I would like to see them try to maybe set up a sphere and then maybe even toss somebody in with the pebbles if they're able to kind of line that up. I know it's probably a little bit more difficult than said, but I'm trying to think of ways that Legion can really kind of get back in this game. They're down by 17,000 gold, as we now see the Kongor, the Legion Kongor specifically, being attempted here by the Hellborn side. If they're able to get this one, I don't see what's going to stop them from getting the second one, getting that token onto Dampier.
Yeah, I just want to mention as well, when it comes to Prisoner going for the barrier idol, because he's got a barrier idol, it negates Pebbles combo, lots of Bombardier damage, evasive spells as well. So even though we suggested the start of the master, one thing we could have mentioned was the fact that with the barrier idol, it means that they can just team to team fight even better. And because Hellborn's draft is literally a revolving.
Bombardier gonna get sniped out here by Chipper. That's gonna be a pretty quick kill. Continue. You can go ahead and continue that thought.
No, sorry, I kind of stumbled on my words, but I was just trying to say that because Hellborn's draft is so orientated around team fight, you know, if you go for those team fight items, it will do so much because Legion don't have enough damage to really take out, you know, your heroes.
Yeah, we definitely, I think, overlooked the possibility of a barrier idol there, as they definitely have a lot of sustained damage if they're able to hold their ground with heroes like the Electrician, dealing constant damage with the shield there. As Pebbles, he's going to get caught in the trees here, going to get spotted out. He's not going to be able to make the escape here. So kind of one by one, they're getting picked off here on the side of Big Ego Crew. The lead kind of holding its place here as they continue to try to buy time for Kronos, who's got his Thunderclaw picked up. But again, he's only level 13. It's going to be a very uphill battle from here moving forward, as the Kongor being worked on now by Hellborn. This one is going to drop a token of life, and with the Shrunken Head picked up in combination with the Portal Key and the Grimoire, having a token of life on the Dampier is going to be very scary for the side of Big Ego Crew, pending that upcoming team fight potentially at their own base. But Sheepstick, I believe, or Frostfield plate in the works here from Electrician. Anything that you would rather like to see as we hold that thought? We have an initiation here on the Kronos. He's going to get locked on by the Crystal Field, and no rewinds coming in for Dutchownage, and you know what that means. He's going to fall there, as the lockdown was just too much from both the Prisoner and the Geomancer to bring him down there. But what would you like to see coming in from Electrician with the Acolyte staff picked up?
I think either item would be absolutely fine. I think Sheepstick with the value of the disable just gives them obviously the ability to take out one of those surrounding supports or even one of the cores if Pebble's kind of misjumps. I think Frostfield is fantastic if you have a Kronos who's looking quite scary. So you want to try and negate, let's say Kronos has a hybrid crown, he's got, let's say, Jobber's Bane, Wingbow, and he's got insane attack speed, then yes, Frostfield play is what you want to go for because you want to negate a lot of his attack speed. However, in this case, it's not really necessary to get a Frostfield play. I mean, Kronos is the only DPS hero in that lineup.
Yeah.
And he's not doing very well. So yeah,
sheep.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The sheep will do a bit more.
I agree with that assessment there. So he's sitting on 1600 gold, not going to have a completed item just yet. They want to take advantage of this token, which they're looking to bring down this tower. Here's a jump coming in from Pebbles, but the token buffer going to prevent a lot of that damage. Dampier jumps in. He's looking for the kill here onto the Pebbles. They will bring him down with Geomancer assisting, and the dives are kind of happening, but you know, not really too much overextension as Prisoner. He's also still very tanky. The tower will fall, but Raxes are being worked on now. The GGs are called. It looks like Big Ego Crew, they don't think there's a way back into this one, and you know what? I think there was some merit to that, as they kind of just fell a little bit too far behind here in game number 3. But you know what that means, BKB? This one's done. We're going to have Backdoor Protocol taking it 2-1 here, and they will move on to the next round to await the winner of the upcoming series here. So final thoughts there on that one?